Well, hey everybody! Welcome to Rum and Coke Night. Oh, let me do the actual lead-in first. We got to do that, I guess, first. So here we go. All right, lead time's over. We want to get drunk. All right, so welcome, everybody, to the Rum and Coke Night tonight. I've got Sailor Jerry, which is a spiced rum. It is actually 46% alcohol. Yeah, that would be 92 proof for those who can't do math.
So you definitely shouldn't have been drinking that during my last
I won't be
video.
able to remember what that is in about 15 minutes from now, so make sure that you remind me. 42% proof. But anyways, I haven't had a rum and coke night for a while. People are like, when are you going to have a rum and coke night? So tonight's my rum and coke night. I did have the link to get in, but I'm having some technical difficulties with the Zoom. So please let me know how the audio levels are, if everybody can see everything fine. And if you want in, let me know. I will get you the actual link. This is my own Zoom thing. This isn't the main one that we usually use. So it's a different one. So if you have an old link, it won't work. But anyways, I got Bullinator in here. I got Cyrus and his girlfriend Pam. I've got Tate. And do I got Zane in here too?
Yep, you do.
All right, cool. So we got a few people in here, and we're going to be talking about kind of things I went over for the week, including the fact that Cyrus and I were talking about having a hang-out argument from contingency. Unfortunately, he wasn't available when I did it, and I had Side 10 Brunicate and a few other people on that one. But there's probably some things we missed on. We might talk about that, and we might find some flat earthers to go see if they want to come in and just mess with them, because it is Rum and Coke night.
Oh.
One thing standardized in Rum and Coke night. Well, there's three things to standardize in Rum and Coke night: rum, Coke, and flat Earth. Right. So,
Yep.
anyways, oh yeah, I'm having a ponytail today. You guys are tripping. You might know my
I
hair.
prefer when you have your majestic mane, but the ponytail's fine too. You look pretty.
Oh, I gotta look.
Hey there, Steve. You're very
Well, I
handsome.
think Pam said in about a half hour I'm not gonna give a shit. But my hair's green with my green screen. That's why. Yeah, I can't figure. I haven't figured out how to fix it. Zane, help me out. How do I get rid of the green in my the green screen? Because it looks like I just got out of the pool every time I.
Right. It does look like you've just been swimming in the pool.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean-
yeah, the green tint.
Looks like I got a like blonde or something, and because I was it's all wet and oh well. So
Can you brush it out, comb it out?
well I have to let it dries because if not.
Oh, let it
breaks.
dry. Okay. Yeah.
By the way, how come you don't have your cam on today?
Oh, I don't have my cam on.
Yeah,
I'm
turn your
sorry.
cam on. I'd rather look at you than Surf's.
True.
There's
I'd rather look at anything but me.
Whatever. I'll let my hair down. It's all green, but whatever. You guys don't care. So, am I low? Okay. Thanks for letting me know if I'm low. I'm gonna adjust some of the levels here. How's that? So if that's better, let me know. Like I said, I haven't done this particular setup with this UI before, so I am changing a lot of things around. I got different lighting now. I've got my green screen. I've got Zoom, and I'm using XSplits. So Zero says just embrace the pool look. You know what? I used to know a lot of girls that swam, and it didn't bother me if they had greenish hair. It kind of was kind of sexy in a way. So, but I'm not a girl.
I didn't know we had Jimmy in the chat. Talk about narcissism.
Jimmy, like Mr. Atheist Jimmy. He won't be in the chat because I already invited him, and he's like, I'm doing a Patreon hangout tonight. I can't hang out with
I'm
you,
hanging out with
Steve.
my patron.
I'm hanging out with my actual friends. Okay, fair enough.
You know I'm a patron of Jimmy. I could totally just hop in that and just be like, you abandoned us.
Yeah, you know what? And I'll just restream through you. If he's having a better hangout than I'm having, then we'll just restream, and I don't care.
You just
I don't-
hijack his hangout.
Exactly. Why not, man? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? I mean, everything's derivative on YouTube, anyways, isn't it? I mean, nobody's that original. Somebody says still losing weight. By the way, no, actually, I actually put on like 2 pounds. So it's a hit or miss. I'm trying to get down to 190, but I went back up to like 195. I was like at 193 or so. I don't know. I'm not even eating that much, so I don't no idea why. I'm counting my calories for some reason though. But anyway.
It happens. It's so weird. Like it just like you create matter on your body, and then it goes away and comes back, goes away, comes back. It's something weird.
It's like where
to
one
me
of my
too.
socks go every time I do laundry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, mine too, Steve. Yeah.
Turn your camera on. I want to look at you rather than Sarah, especially after I've started drinking. Marvel Girl says I like the Earl Steve. Oh, thank you, Marvel Girl.
Well, I can show you a recent picture of me from my phone. I mean, from my cam.
Sure.
Because
what
I'm
you
not on
look
my
like.
cam right now. I'm not on. Yeah.
Okay,
Steve, I think we need to get this out of the way because you put it in the title. Everybody in the live chat is going nuts over CCP. What does it mean? Why are we saying goodbye to it?
Man, it's like a bait and switch, isn't it? Because it's Rum and Coke night. Okay, so anyways, Bye Bye CCP. For those who don't know what the CCP is, good. Keep it that way. I'm not going to explain it to you. The less you know about them, the better off you are. And I mean that very sincerely. I am not going to explain to you what CCP is, so don't ask. But for those of you that do know what the CCP is, I just have had numerous messages to me, and I'm talking inundated between private messages on G+, Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. People have messaged me. And I understand they do it with the kindness in their heart. I'm not faulting them for messaging me. And Hannah had the exact same problem. And you know, she's not faulting anybody for it either. But I don't care what the CCP has to say about me particularly. I don't care if they threaten me. I don't care if they threaten to dox me, flag me, anally rape me. I don't care. I really honestly don't. I don't subscribe to any of their channels. Right? I'm not subscribed
I just tuned
to
in
any
and all I heard was anal rape me, and I was like,
that's the only thing you really paid attention to. Everything I just
I think
said.
that's a Nirvana song.
Man, this is, every time you say anal, we need to have a drink.
Oh, boys, get ready.
Oh.
I'm about to go off.
Alpha drink.
Okay, drink to it.
This is great because my last video actually had a drinking game on it. And halfway through the video, I just said, I really hope you have low proof alcohol for this because I don't want to kill any subscribers.
Oh, I you know what? Normally this would last me about 3 months probably, but the way I'm feeling tonight, I don't know. Because I really need a drink. But okay, so here's the thing. Like I said, I don't subscribe to any of them, and I mean that very sincerely. If you go look, I don't know how you would check it, but I don't subscribe to them. And people usually tell me, hey, such and such is having a hangout, they're mentioning you. And for some reason, my name specifically has been on many people's lips from the CCP. By the way, that means Clown Car Posse, okay? People in the live chat going, please tell them what it means. Clown Car Posse. I have no desire to be associated with them, no desire to talk to them, and especially a couple of them, which I've told many people, their reprehensible behavior is such an atrocious level that I don't see me ever having any communication with them. For one, specifically what they did to my friend Jade, and unfortunately because Jade has passed, they can't apologize to her. And so that one of my conditions for ever talking to a couple of them was that they apologized to Jade. That can't happen now. So I know there's been about 50 million hangouts on talking about the CCP, and I know that a lot of them have said similar comments to like I have said. People have told me that a lot of people are having the same sentiment that they don't want to have anything to do with the CCP. Great. This hangout really isn't predicated on that. It's predicated on the fact that I literally have been inundated with people messaging me about the Clown Car Posse, and I'm just not interested. Those who are great, I'm not faulting anybody for it. Look at, you know, we all, even on my channel, we started off having fun with the Clown Car Posse. They're idiots. They're so goddamn stupid that they're just, it's entertaining. I get that, right? And occasionally they might say something of interest that is so stupid that we might bring it up eventually. But it's been the same rhetoric for years now. Same bullshit, same stupidity. They don't know jack shit what the fuck they're talking about. They'll never bother to learn anything correctly. Why bother? I have so many other people I can talk to that I don't need to be talking with somebody on that low a level, right? And I'm not saying that I'm on any high level, but when you're talking about people that think like amino acids is what DNA is comprised of, why bother having a biological discussion with them, right? I mean, that's just idiocy. So, anyways, that's where I stand. So I appreciate all the people who have been messaging me, but I'm just literally not interested in having anything to do with them. So if
I keep telling people, Steve, that is not why I pay my internet bill.
Yeah, I mean, look at people. There's a million things people can watch, right? And I don't care what people decide to watch. It's up to them, right? I choose not to watch them. If people want to watch them, they're more than welcome to. If they want to watch about people bitching about them, they're more than welcome to. Whatever. But on this channel, on the Non Sequitur Show, we have taken it to a different direction. We've gone from the great drama community that was there to the great debate community that we're trying to do is have actual communication. And we have a lot of people coming into that. Skylar's doing a great job with that. I mean, Skylar's bringing in a lot of new people to talk to. I mean, we don't have to have the Clown Car Posse any longer to make fun of. There's other people we can make fun of. Let's put it this, let me seriously. Most people, the reason why we have conversations with them when they're like a creationist or flat earther has one goal, right? to laugh, to make fun of them.
Yeah.
There's no possible way that you can think that they are literally on a level to have an actual conversation or a debate on a topic that's non-debatable. And flat Earth, not debatable. Creationism, not debatable. Now, and I'm talking about young Earth creationism, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, let me throw this over to you guys. What do you guys have to say about that? Then we can actually talk about something interesting. Why I say anal so I can drink. This is gonna be one hell of a demonetized video.
Well, let's analyze how this is gonna go.
Oh, nice one.
That was good. You could have waited until I actually swallowed first, row, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, why would you not swallow unless you're gonna
Steve.
spit?
None of us are gonna wait until you swallow to fire.
Yeah, no, I'm a gargler.
Remember, true
why
love
is-
gargles.
Why is our remaining meeting time? It's really weird.
I don't know, maybe because I think I set it for like a specific time. I'm still figuring out Zoom. Remaining time 7 hours. Is it 7 minminutes?
7
it's
minutes.
7 minutes.
Looks like 7 minutes.
Oh, your free meeting will end in 10 minutes. Please upgrade to a paid account. Oh, that's how it works. Oh,
Okay,
I
guys. Spam anal in the chat so Steve can die.
Spam
You'll
anal.
die happy and asleep.
So I guess you only have a 10-minute thing. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to switch to our paid account.
Switch over to the non sequiturs account.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, let me check out what's happening in the live chat. Zero. If you never discussed biology with CCP members, we'd have missed out on GCAT. Fair point. Look, I'm not saying that I regret having conversations with them. I'm not saying that at all. I've had fun with them. Okay. But there's specific people in the Glamcar posse that are so reprehensible, so despicable, so against everything that I personally stand for, and have done things that I find to be heinous. I don't want them around my channel. I don't want them in my chat. I don't want them coming on. I don't want my name associated with them. They can talk about me all they fucking want. I ignore them. I don't respond to them, and I don't even try to mention their names. That's how little I care. So yeah, I mean, GCAT's great. I love GCAT. GCAT's the most entertaining thing of all. But
I wanted to rescue GCAT.
poor GCAT.
Remember, when the most entertaining thing a channel has ever put out is a few second interval where they are no longer speaking and instead their animal is on screen, that means that they have definitely hit so far under rock bottom that I'm not sure the laws of physics apply anymore.
Yeah, GCAT.
Steve,
Well, GCAT has more morals than some of them.
Steve, I also found out that that's not the first time that's happened with one of his pets. He did that with his dog too when he had a dog years ago.
I think I do recall something.
Hey, guys.
Let me you know what? I might as well switch over to the other account.
Yeah, like we've got 5 minutes left in this call. I didn't realize that was a thing with Zoom, but that's silly.
Yeah, I had no idea. All right, so I'm gonna end this one. Just see how Sarah, I'm gonna have to give you the link, and then you're gonna have to give it out to like.
I'll just start divvying the link out.
Yeah.
I'll just be
Is that what happens in
doing
a?
this with the link.
Is that what happens with a Zelda?
Bills at a
farm?
club.
All right,
Divvy
so
out the link to.
Green with links.
I don't have rum and coke. I have whiskey and ice.
all right, well, say anal. Say we only say it once because I don't want to have double shots.
That's okay.
Steve, I
got
really don't
perks.
know the link.
Luckily, I have some water, but again, I got my green cups. This is what happens when you have a green screen and a green cup. Ooh, magic.
It's magic.
Well, then they will
Look at-
never see you drink, which means that we're constantly going to have to say the word anal.
Isn't that the perfect cup for like during the Prohibition time? It's not even that you're putting the moonshine in a teacup. You can't even tell the cup exists.
It's a little bit. I did say it's
It's
a little
just
bit
like
lighter than my
Steve.
green screen, but it's not much. Oh, you can't even see it. See, I mean, I'm bringing it right here, and you guys can't. Weird, huh?
Look at the disappearing act for Steve.
All right,
But then
so
again,
we're gonna
it could also backfire. Like that was the time when people could just pick you up and throw you into an asylum.
again.
Well, let me know. I'm gonna jump out. Let me know when the new room is up, and I'll jump.
It'll
in.
probably be 1 minute, so I'm gonna have to keep people entertained for a minute. So here we go. I'm gonna be switching over now. So I'm gonna end this. That goes away. Okay. Then we're gonna go to the new one. So I'm gonna walk you guys through this as I do it. Leave this one. Start with video. Oh, no. Get rid of that. Leave meeting. Go to new account. Switch accounts. What is the? By the way, you can't see the password for that. I know, but I forget what it is. Dave, you might have to host. Let me think here. All right, let me try something here because I don't remember what the password is for that. You guys watch that for a second. Maybe Dave will hear this and he will log on and do it for me, but we'll see here. Yeah, who thought that the free version of Zoom was only 10 minutes? I didn't know that. Counts. Take an intermission. Go pee. Oh, that worked actually. Oh, look at that. Oh, hey, it worked. So now I can invite people. So invite by contact. David. Gotta get the ID in one sec. Alright. Alright, so hey Dave, I gave you the ID. Can you get it out to other people or maybe I can I seem to be screen sharing everything and I don't want to. Alright, Cirrus, I'm sending you the link now. Alright, try that link there, sir. Alright, while they're figuring that out, let me see what's happening in live chat. Oh man, it's catching up. The password is foreskin. How'd you guys know that? Wow, that's pretty impressive. Show us the liquid inside. Well, this is just water here. This is actual rum. Yeah, I know. My oldest showing. Hey, look, I'm thinking about dyeing this not because of vanity. I'm only thinking about dyeing my hair is because, like I said, it blends into my green screen. So I might actually dye my hair black so I don't have that problem. But what do you guys think of that? We're waiting for them to come in. If I can get Dave in here, Dave can get out the link to people. Oh, he's figuring that out. Who keeps messaging me? I don't know who you are. Oh, there's somebody. Hey, that actually worked then. That number I gave you?
Yes.
This is not the usual room number, it's a different one. Awesome. We're making progress here, people. All right, so invite your friend and Pam.
Yep, I'm about to send them. Okay, so open Zoom, put this code in. Boom. And then let me grab Tate as well.
People give me hair advice. Okay, so go green? Or blue? Really? No. Gandalf the blue. I like the gray. No, I really do. It's just, I kind of, I am old.
You need to look like a wizened old philosopher.
Dr. Zayas, I will freaking time you out for saying shave my head. That's not gonna happen. Start wearing boots and braces. No, like I said, I do think it though because of the green screen, it might be beneficial to dye. But if you guys really want me to keep the white hair, I will. But it's up to you guys. I'm here to please you.
So, Steve, is there not a way to use the standard link, or does it have to be through the code?
Either or, the standard link will work. Should work. But this link I actually have to approve people, so this is actually great. So this link I can actually give out. I don't have to worry about it. So if people want to come in, I can just give the link out to them. So
we got Tate there, and then there's Bullionator, and then Pam. Did you get yours?
So I'm gonna give the link to join, so anybody can come in. That's the Zoom link number. So what you got to do is you go to Zoom, but I have to approve you. If I don't know who you are, you're not going to get approved. So I know everybody. So
It just says non sequitur digital studio will be open momentarily.
Okay, then it means that Steve needs to approve you, I think.
yeah,
Steve's being a butt.
I approved her. She didn't say the magic word, anal.
Anal. That's 3. Take them.
Yeah, you take it. Yeah.
I'll go get our coconut oil.
Yeah,
Fuck, man.
What you guys do on your own time, your business, man. I don't judge. By the way, I thought Cirrus you take it dry, but that's okay.
I only take it dry when Godless Iowans roasting me.
Oh, and deep too.
So, Steve,
Yes, sir.
did Red Eye tell you that he wants to do a show?
About what?
That he wants to do a debate with Edgar. That
Oh my god!
emus are the superior egg for conducting science.
Well, clearly that's the case. Now here's my dilemma on this. Okay, and I'm going to defer to you guys. They don't have to actually make any real decisions. So you guys tell me. Edgar, official member of the CCP or kind of a tangential member of the CCP, such that he's listed under CCP in the Wikipedia.
No, I don't think he is, because he's just so
He's harmless.
He's harmless, and he's so out there, Steve. Like when he starts talking, nobody. How can you take him seriously?
You know, they said that about flat earthers, but now we've got some very serious flat earthers.
Yeah, but 10 years from now, he might be a cult leader, dude. You don't know.
No, but seriously, how can you say only I can redefine intelligence, so only I can know what intelligence is?
I mean,
Well,
that's like what Jordan Peterson does.
Okay, well, he's mental. Okay, we'll give him that, right? But he's harmless, right? I don't think he's as vitriolic and rancorous as the Clown Car Posse is. That's just the way I'm looking at it. Again, I just want to avoid most of the CCP. There's a special handful that I have no interest in. They just are wasting my time. They have for a very long time. I stopped talking about them for reasons, and
yeah, the other thing that I was chatting with Red Eye about, he wanted to see something done, the legality of why it is that if somebody gets assaulted at a sports game, like if you're playing. There was some guy playing football in Australia recently, like the other day, and somebody just like punched his teeth into his face. He needs like huge amounts of surgery now, right? Which is entirely against the rules. And basically, how are they legally allowed to get away with that just because they're playing a game when in any other case that would be considered an assault?
okay. Because it's a sport. Fuck them all.
Yeah, I think that's literally just because when there's a different standard that's held. Not that I'm saying it should be the case, but I think there's just a different standard that's held to you whenever you're playing any type of sports ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I get that if you're like stepping into a boxing ring and the whole goal is to beat the shit out of somebody, that obviously you're not going to get arrested for doing it. But if somebody were to, jump across the net in a tennis court and beat somebody with a racket, I'm pretty sure they'd probably get arrested.
Well,
no, I'm not saying that the standards are based on the sport in general. I'm just saying that when it comes to sports, there are different standards held. I don't agree with it. And it doesn't even matter if the sport necessarily entails what's happening, because obviously punching somebody in the jaw in football is very different than punching somebody in the jaw in boxing. There's very different connotations here.
Yeah.
But I do think that because there is what's the word I'm looking for?
Well,
I don't know, but what the fuck does this got to do with Rum and Coke night?
I don't know.
I don't know. It was just a topic, and now I'm commenting.
Shit, but go ahead. I'm just getting people in here, but yeah, it's.
And it's just one of those things where, like, I think there's an incentive to keep some players protected so you can keep your team together. And so strings will be pulled to facilitate that. Again, I don't agree with it, but I think it's definitely a thing that happens.
Yeah.
For the first full minute of this talk, I thought we were talking about, like, attendees.
No, we're talking about actual players.
I figured that out.
We're talking about actual sports ball.
Well, I was talking
here.
about people that just don't need to be around me.
Same thing.
Yeah, well, I was kind of. I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't.
I'm
if
curious-
somebody's hopping the fence and beating,
I
hopping
don't want
the
them around
twist
me either.
net
I
and
guess
beating
you've got a
another
point.
football player, I don't want them around me.
I don't mind Mr. Intelligent Design. Like I said, I think he's crazy, but he's harmless. So yeah, I would actually watch that debate. I'm gonna go with emu eggs. So
Yeah. No, I think that should be the proposition. The proposition should be emu eggs are
So how many wet
superior
pieces
for
of toilet
conducting
paper?
scientific research.
How many wet pieces of toilet paper would stop emu eggs?
I don't know.
It depends. How many wet pieces of toilet paper do you need to make a heap?
well, it doesn't really matter because the whole point was not how many that stopped the egg. It was the fact that the egg was stopped, thus demonstrating and proving intelligence.
Problem, solution.
Problem agent, problem solution, satellite.
Yeah.
People that have never watched this show before, which isn't really a show, but this channel, I have no idea what the fuck we are talking about. Like, so
We don't know
inside
what we're
shit,
talking
yeah.
about, Steve.
Yeah, I lost myself.
This is Tate's first time here. It's not my first time, but I'm always lost on Rum and Coke night.
Yeah, it's
I just-
really
I
I
think
just
that's the
take
point, right?
It happens.
It's expected eventually, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, eventually you're expected that, no matter what proof alcohol you're drinking, eventually you're going to hit a point where you're like, I'm here, but I don't remember coming in here.
Wish I was dry right now, but I just have perks. Just perks. I want to run fast for short bursts. I want to reload fast.
About 20 minutes. And that's
I want to take 4 hits instead of 2.
Their sodas based off of the Call of Duty perk system. You're very low, Steve.
Yeah, I can hear you, Steve.
What are
Like
you
very, very barely, but I can hear you.
Yeah, you just got really quiet.
I can hear you, Steve.
I can barely hear Mr. Brass now.
Is that better?
Well, that's the first time I heard brass, but yeah, that's a bit better.
Hey, Mr. Brass.
Oh, there you are.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Steve.
Why are you talking in a tin can? I mean,
Yeah.
Potato.
potatoes are for boiling and eating, not for using as communication devices.
This is how Mr. Brass is speaking right now.
He's wrong.
Currently has the thing right there.
That's actually. Oh, seriously, story, dude.
Yeah.
Just happened.
A decent mic.
No, you're gone, Steve. I think that your wire connection's bad.
Hang
Buddies.
on.
Mighty.
Like fighting with electronics.
Yeah, it's snap.
Yeah.
Very bad shit is
Hey.
happening here.
Lots on their Rice Krispies.
Remember, the proper order is milk, cereal, then bowl.
You just lap it up off the counter.
You don't even lap it up off the counter. You just leave it for your pets.
The bowl goes on your head for protection.
Yes. You have
Matt,
to line the bowl with tinfoil.
Mr. Brass is trying to talk, but I'm not hearing anything out of his mic. It's just yellow.
Oh,
There.
you can hear me?
Nah.
Yeah, there you are.
Technically.
Faintly.
Faintly.
On a technical level.
Yeah. It's just I have 3 microphones, but not a damn one works. I'm getting another one, so hopefully that fixes it.
Is it the same brand of microphone you've been having all the same issues with?
Yeah, I mean, like
You know
this
the
is probably the
definition-
better.
brand.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is like more of a gaming headset.
Well, even still, it
anything?
shouldn't be that tinny.
It shouldn't be that tinny because like this is a gaming headset here, and how bad do I sound if I swap to it? Let me see here. Okay, how bad do I sound now?
No, it's
Pretty
not
good.
that bad.
Yeah, pretty good. Actually.
Sound pretty okay.
Yeah,
You
that's
lost a
pretty
little bit of
good.
your mid range, but
yeah, and this is a like a what $29-ish headset on Amazon, maybe.
Oh, what's it called? That might be interesting to know.
Let me.
It's called
I
the-
can look it up in Amazon.
It's called
real
the $29 headset on Amazon. That's the actual brand.
No. quick. I'm gonna pull it up in my orders.
And they
real
charge you
quick.
$34.99 plus shipping and handling, so it comes out to like $50. So it's a kind of a misnomer.
Well, you see the $5 that you were missing. They were the first cause that the other $29.99 is contingent upon as a necessary entity.
That was a contingency.
the
argument.
philosophy of Amazon.
Now, the philosophy of Amazon
Yeah.
is to jack things up like 20% and then send it to you. Because all Amazon's doing is most of the time is they're sending a message to somebody else saying, hey, this person wants to get it, and then they ship it out to you. But you know what? I don't mind because I tell you what, I get shit in 2 days. I'm by every distribution center, and so, I mean, it's down the street. So I literally, when I
you
order
get
stuff,
the,
it's like 2 days.
You get
Prime.
the Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime's pretty good. I mean, I had it for a little while, but I stopped using it.
They jacked the price up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it went from $100 a year to $9.99 a month, which is a $20 price jack.
yeah.
I still use it. I use it enough for it to pay for itself, though, so I'm okay with it.
Well,
Me too.
I'm going to switch mics here. I guess everybody's saying that that's not working too well. And I think it could be the phantom power supply. So let me switch.
I mean, you're
Mike's-
fine right now, Steve.
Yeah, you sound cool now.
Not according to the outside.
Okay.
The outside's wrong. They're hearing the delayed you.
All right. Brass, I'm sending you the link. Hold on. Is there a way for me to send you a text on here? Yes, there is through chat. Aha. There's a chat function I can utilize.
Lovely.
Here you go. Copy paste that into your search bar for Amazon. That's the exact headset me and Pam are using.
I have
will
one that's
do.
similar.
Thank you.
That's what I have another pair that I bought, and they're almost exactly like that. They're very, very similar. They're comfortable as hell.
They are like these muffs go fully around my ear.
Muff around your ears is
Completely
always
overlap. It's great.
Yeah, we always like muff around our ears.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like with my mic, like one mic I have, like is just it's for recording videos where it's like it removes all the noise.
Mhm.
Well, as much as you can get. It's one of those kind of microphones. It's just like a noise reducing one. It's
Yeah, I
good
know.
for
I know
that.
what you're
It's
talking
good-
about.
It's good
So
for
let me get this straight.
It's
You're
good,
using
yeah.
your worst mic with us?
Yeah, seems so.
No, I mean all my mics have problems with them. Like this one is just good for like talking to people, but like probably the better one for like I use for my videos, the noise reducing one. It would be horrible. Like I couldn't. It would be horrible trying to chat with people online with it.
All right.
So it's all selective. So yeah, I'm just I've been getting like some new headsets for my birthday that's coming up.
Well, I would highly suggest the one that I just sent you because me and Pam have been
Oh,
using
yeah.
it for a while. Not to
Oh
mention
yeah, I'll
they're,
definitely.
they have a steel bar in the middle, so when you have them in transit, like in a bag or anything, they actually are really strong and don't actually break or have any issues with wires fringing inside. Because I know, like, one of the worst things with these big headphones is when you suddenly hear one of the sides just go out, and you're like, oh, that's dying.
Oh yeah.
I want to get the newer model of this mic. AKG
The Yeti,
Perception. No, this is an AKG Perception 200.
the-
I want to get the
Is that one of
420.
the condenser mics?
Yeah,
I've been
they're really
getting-
nice
I've been getting
mics.
those a lot.
One of the newer ones, that was like $799. So it's
This is a cardioid, but it's pretty good. I mean, I actually like this mic. For some strange reason, though, some people like, hey, it's low, but when I check everything checks fine. So,
So it sounds
I
fine
think
really
they were
since-
hearing the delay when you cut out before. That's all.
well,
There's a bit of a stream delay. By the way, Steve,
Yeah, like
what's the topic going to be for Armored Skeptic coming on?
We haven't really decided yet. But I got to tell you though, and I'm not going to say whom, but I've already had people tell me that we shouldn't give him a platform, and I'm kind of surprised to hear that actually.
Don't listen.
I don't think that Greg's that bad of a guy. I mean, I think
I don't either. I mean,
I think he's got some delusions of
either.
grandeur.
Well, I mean,
I think that's part of the act, though. He's sort of playing a character to an extent, right?
Yeah, I don't even really sense anything real along those lines.
Well, I mean,
I see him hamming
I
things
don't
up,
like
but
him.
not for reality's sake.
I have heard some like negative things about him, but I personally have no problem with him.
Well, and here's the thing, though. Even if there was negative things
the
about
only
him,
time I heard negative things about Greg is when he went to do that thing where he was going to be sharing the stage with Sargon, and everybody lost their shit, and suddenly he was now bad dude. Before that, no one seemed to give a shit.
Well, here's the thing. Hang on. Here's the thing. Look at Sargon. When we had Sargon on, I already had people that tell me that he shouldn't have a platform, and so far, everybody that's told me that somebody should not have a platform is basically the kind of social justice warrior that I kind of oppose. Right? I have not had anybody tell me that we shouldn't give anybody a platform that I have not seen really kind of falls into the feminist social justice warrior, which I'm not. Right? Because I don't think that there should be limitations on you shouldn't de-platform certain things. There's nothing that Sargon or Armored Skeptic says that is worthy of deplatforming. Nothing. Now, if they went up there and they're spewing vile, racist, bigoted stuff, sure, I get that, right? They don't need to have a platform to spew that. I understand that. But they're just having a different perspective when it comes to intersectionality and things like feminist standpoint theory, and I happen to agree with them on those things. So why would I not want to give them a platform? Because I don't think they're saying anything that's terrible. Now, do they use hyperbole a lot? Do they use shock value a lot? Sure.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, there's definitely different brands of social justice warriors in the sense, like, there are some things that they're trying to do that I agree with in the sense that, yeah, you should fight for people to have some manner of equality and not be bigoted and discriminate and whatnot. But when it comes to like deplatforming people and flipping over cars and
exactly, it's just insanity.
You get a bunch of these people who are like, we're social justice warriors and we're going to join Antifa and cause chaos because we disagree with somebody's opinion. That's
Antifa's they're just thugs.
Yeah.
Speaking of people I disagree with,
not all of them. I know some people.
Well, I'm sure not all Gestapo were that bad either. But I mean, for the most part,
that's true.
I mean, come on, the group.
I mean, I'm sure
they
what are you saying? Just go to the gulag. You'll be okay.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure not like all Nazis were bad people either, but I would still be hesitant
Nazism
on it.
good.
And Antifa has one purpose, and that's to shut down conversation. That, I mean, they're by violence. They do advocate for violence. By the way, thank you, Jim, for the $5 super chat. I do appreciate it. It says donating because reasons, and I appreciate that. I know I've been doing a lot more on the non-sec than this particular channel. I'm going to try to rectify that this month. We are planning to do various hangouts. Like I want to do that one with Argument from Contingency with Cirrus, but unfortunately that didn't work out. But we have other things planned. I'm going to be doing one on Tag, Transcendental Argument for God, the one that we had with Matt Slick. I'm going to be doing something on that because people have asked for that one again. Okay.
Speaking of people we would advocate violence against, though, John is here.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
By the way, hey, GMD finally got in. Good job.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
you're there.
Oh, hello there.
Yeah, see, we actually have
Hi there.
we have two theists in here. What kind of channel is this that allows this kind of crazy stuff? Damn, we're going all nuts tonight. Say anal, got a drink.
Oh, God damn it. Why?
Chug.
I don't have anything on me.
Wow, this is potent
I
stuff.
got teased.
You don't
Can I eat
qualify for the
wafers
room.
instead
Get
of
out.
drink-
Wafers.
What Pam? When
I'm gonna
Pam?
eat wafers instead of drinking.
Yes, Pam, you may. When Pam speaks, everybody shuts up because she's the only one with boobs in the room. She has a trump card.
What are you talking about, Steve?
Okay,
Look at my magnificent dogs.
fair point. I sit
Everybody
corrected.
hates the Trump card. He's
Demonetized.
And somebody asked me was it Steve Shives that said that. No, actually, though, I did watch June's video, Shoes on Head's video, and I thought
She said, "Girl, you beautiful with no makeup."
I gotta tell you, I love her.
Are you okay?
They said, "Girl, you don't look good without makeup." I said, Where?
Let's not get demonetized. I thought she was going to flash him there for a second. Part of me was like, cool. The other part was like, no, please don't.
I can hear nothing, and that's great.
But I saw June's video, and I really like her videos. I think she's actually much more creative than Greg is in some ways as far as her humor. But Steve Shives is a piece of shit. He has long since blocked me on Twitter, and I don't think I ever spoke to the man on Twitter.
Who's this?
Steve Shives.
He blocks everybody like on Twitter. I think he's got like a Twitter blocking bot where if you're like connected to anybody that he's blocked, it blocks you.
But he's
That's one of the things he's most famous for right now.
Yeah, but how do you still have a following when you do that?
I don't know.
Some people don't care. If they side with him, some people just don't care.
What is there to side with him? I'm curious. I mean, the guy is just okay. So he's a
Wait, what are we talking about?
So he's a
weird, fringy, extreme side. Right?
Yeah, he's like radical feminism. He's a cuck. He's a beta male.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some people that are really into that.
Is that what you? Is there really people subscribing to beta male stuff? Oh yeah, hey, he's a beta male, and he gets pussy whipped. I'm gonna subscribe to him because that's what I want to watch. Who does that?
I like beta male cucklords.
It reminds me of me.
I'm not judging, I guess, but it just seems odd. But he's like the worst type of atheist, and yeah, there's a spectrum. There's your really good, intelligent, articulate atheist that I love listening to the argumentation, and then there's like baseline crap like him, and he brings nothing, just absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean Steve Shives
the only thing
on these crazy tangents, right? Like where he just takes something that's so tiny and makes like a mountain out of a molehill about it and acts like he's like the master of white knighting.
Oh yeah, I mean everything's a cause with him, right? And he's just so emotional. And it's like, get the fuck over it, dude. This is what bothers me about the feminist thing. It's like I am not a very emotional person. I'm just not. The only thing that gets to me is like people dying. Like when Jay died, it was very upsetting.
Let me ask you this: do you disagree with? What we had the debate on feminism, right? Where I'm having a brain spat here.
You can't remember your words because Trump took.
Oh my God! We've said anal 5 times as like 5 little shots, and you're already drunk.
No, I'm not. I've just lost someone's name. It's gone from my mind.
Maybe you should remember their ass instead. Maybe it'll anally come to you.
It might.
We had a debate on feminism, which I don't remember. Do we have a debate on feminism? What was our debate?
Oh no, we had. Jeez.
Wasn't it?
Are you talking about? You're not talking. Please don't say pronouns.
No.
We're all going to forget about that particular episode.
Shannon Q.
Yeah, I remember.
Shannon Q's brand of feminism.
How could you forget Shannon Q, for God's sake?
I don't know.
Good grief.
I know.
Shannon Q is a normal feminist, right? She's a second wave egalitarian. I'm fine with that. I agree with her, I think, on everything. What would I possibly disagree with her on that? But she's not a radicalized feminist. She's against that radicalization crap.
Yeah, and I think that Shannon's on a very reasonable sort of thought. Like they have a reasonable way about thinking about these issues, without exaggerating things or having to make up claims to fight about. And I think that there's people who are social justice warriors that are like social justice warriors in the same way that like Shannon is a feminist but is reasonable about it. I think that there are reasonable social justice people as well.
Very few. I think people just want to white knight for a cause, and there's other people that are like, oh, you know what, fuck off. For example, like if you go after Paul like on a science thing like Apologia, Shannon's not going to give a fuck, But if you attack him personally, she might because of their relationship. I get that, but there's people out there just be like, oh, you said something to a woman. Let's like arm the posses and flagging wars.
She has boobs.
She has been violated.
Let's metaphorically slaughter you.
Yeah, I think that's a disservice to
Let's
women.
allegorically slaughter you.
Look, I am old-fashioned.
I
am all for opening a door for a lady, right? I am all for guys paying for meals. I am chivalrous when it comes to that.
Yeah, but some people would say that are feminists.
Eventually, I'll get a full sentence out. Watch, it'll happen eventually.
It will.
But what I'm not for is every time somebody says something to a woman, you feel like you have to defend her honor, because I got to tell you, most women are a lot more independent than that, and they'll just say, "Hey, you know what? I don't need your fucking help. Let me do your thing." And I'm like, cool with that. I'm like, "Hey, I'll sit." I'm more scared of them than and anybody should be scared of me, right? So if somebody pisses off a chick and she just loses it, I'm like sitting back eating popcorn, right?
Hell knows no fury than a worse fury than a woman scorned.
Yeah. So I this need though to feel like, oh, I'm gonna man up and I'm gonna protect her from the.
No.
Well,
See,
I mean-
those are what Chris would call incels. The one that want to get into women's pants, so they take it that extra little fucking bit to try and be like, "Oh, I saved you, suck my dick." And it's
I think there's impressive. The women, is that what they think? They think that, oh, I'm
They think they're
impressed her,
stopping
so
the
I'm gonna get some.
impression of the women by impressing them. And it's the worst thing is I actually had a conversation with, like, I've never had a conversation with an actual incel until I think it was about 2 weeks ago, where there was a conversation about consent came up, and I think Inane Dragon was pointing out that if you can't get consent, maybe the problem is you. And the person was like, "Well, consent isn't this magical, easy thing to get." And I'm like, "Then the problem's probably you, buddy."
What does that even mean?
Well, I mean,
consent is not easy to get. It kind of
It
is.
doesn't mean
a
you take
hooker.
I guess. I mean, exactly. What do you want a hooker to say? Yeah, with enough. You could.
No,
Yeah.
I think that they're hanging out in the wrong communities. Like, I
The
mean,
thing that I saw most in like high school and what I still see today with some of my friends, like I have a friend who I won't name. She had a boyfriend who was very effeminate, just got out of the army, and was a complete apparent romanticist to her until I got there, and then he suddenly got scared because I was there, and he felt like his masculinity was less than mine. I have boobs and a vagina, my good sir. I am not a man. I may be gender fluid, but I am not a man. I'm not Mr. Steal Your Girl.
To be fair, though, you are way more manly than I know who you're
She's
talking
more manly
about.
than you, Cyrus.
Yeah.
That's why we like her.
She's a better man than I am.
She's
You're
a better
definitely a
man
better
than
man than
yours.
he is.
I am stronger than most people think that I am. Like
I know. I've been bruised when you've used a sword on me.
She uses a foam sword and it leaves a bruise on him. What does that tell you? A foam sword and leaves a bruise.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that if they were using
Anyway.
a sword right at any degree of strength, that you'd obviously have wounds that were open and bleeding.
Anyway, so he literally felt so insecure around me that he would wake her up in the middle of the night while I was asleep because they didn't have an extra room, so I slept right at the side of their bed until while we were cleaning out the extra room for me. He would wake her up in the middle of the night, drag her by her shirt unwillingly to the bathroom, and then like do the deed because he felt so like all of his masculinity just went away whenever I was around that he felt the need to wake her up in the middle of the night and kind of force it to happen. And I told her straight up, I was like, he's gay. And then 3 months down the road, she texts me and she goes, Pam, he only comes when there's something in his butt. And I said, I know, he's gay. I told you. He was a white
so
knight, and that's
demonetized.
why.
Can I drink for that? Is that close enough?
Yes.
Okay.
There was anal
enough for me.
That's anal enough for me.
Oh,
JMD's like, what the hell I get myself into?
To be fair, I think this is what happens with me and JMD. Okay, so I tell JMD I will help
that
him
look of fear.
for all of maybe 40 minutes, and what happens, strangely enough, is that 6 hours later, I find that we're still in a goddamn conversation. And I'm just sitting there questioning my life choices that led me here.
Is it deep? Do you guys have deep convos?
Oh yeah, we do. It was
it's
actually
rectally deep.
12. I just wanted him to help me download something, and then 8 hours later, we're talking about philosophy and stuff like that. 8 o'clock in the morning, she's like, "Oh, I didn't get any sleep tonight. I work in a few hours."
I can't do that those long hours any longer. 2-3 is about my max.
It's because you're old.
That's true. Reese wants a psycho roommate update. Fair enough. It's Rum and Coke night. Real quick, I go shopping like maybe once a week or every other week, and I just go down to little stores down here. There's a nice little coffee store there, and some other places. I'll just kick it. I'll have a nice, cheap taco lunch or something. And I went to the coffee shop there the other day, and what are you doing? Who's masturbating? Can't you wait till you're off
I'm
stream?
scratching my dog. Yeah.
Oh, You're scratching something. I don't know if it's a dog.
It's under the camera. Now I'm concerned.
Look at that big puppy.
Oh my god, that is a massive
That's a
dog.
big dog.
He's my baby.
Yeah.
His name is Hugo, and he hates being held like this.
He's loving that. What are you kidding? All right.
That's a cute doggy.
Yeah.
I'm a very much a dog fan. I have a cat too, but I prefer dogs.
I got both. The cat's sort of the boss of the house.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I'll tell Hugo, don't get on the bed, and he'll then walk up to the cat and ask for permission and disregard whatever I say.
I have a plan to get everybody drunk by continually accusing Steve of being anal retentive.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't have to take a drink of time. Somebody's still, not the dog. Somebody's breathing really heavy into their mic, like every 3 seconds.
Probably be. I've been chain smoking for the past week, just work.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see who it is. I'll see what I can do. But anyways, so I saw my ex-roommate sitting outside. It looks like he hasn't like had a hot bath for like ages, and he's writing letters, which I'm sure was like to us. But I'd gone inside and. They know me there, and I said, "Hey, that guy out there, man, you just avoid him like the fucking plague. He's just nuts, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, the owner kicked him out like last week. They didn't want him around." I'm like, "Okay, so I'm like the only one that fucking notices this guy's nuts, right?" When a coffee store kicks you out, you know it's pretty bad, right? So that's my roommate update.
Do you have any like more readings that you can do from the insanity that was your roommate?
No, they're boxed up.
I'm surprised he hasn't killed you yet.
Like I said, I mean, he's more than welcome to try. Everybody's here is ex-military, so and one person's upstairs like 340 pounds, and all he does is work out and take weight supplements. And he's like,
so yeah, you're pretty good set.
More hilarious than anything.
Because it's real life shit, right? I literally lived with somebody just like Von Helton. I mean, there was no difference. He was just as delusional in their mentality that they thought they had this lavish lifestyle, lived in the lap of luxury. He thought that he drove an $85,000 car. He had a supermodel girlfriend. He's worth $62 million. His IQ was 264, where the hell it was. You guys remember more than I do about the details. So I said his IQ the other, like last week or something like that. So I said, no, Steve, his IQ was this. I'm like, okay, you guys remember more than I remember.
But could be worse. He could be a flat earther.
Well, it sounds to me like he's actually bipolar.
Could well be.
Sorry, it's been
They say no. His brother said no.
Well, it's been because his brother said no.
Psychology, but this very much sounds like bipolar in terms of typically they get delusions of grandeur, but it's not so much scattered fantasies like schizophrenia. It's more a solid, coherent narrative.
Very coherent narrative. I'll give him that. It's like he has put a lot of effort into it, because everything he sent to us, the story has not changed much, right? There's no divergence in his story. So he really honestly believes specific facts. But then again, one time he wrote something that just was bizarrely untrue. It never happened. I was going out to get my mail, and I happened to be in my black bathrobe, right? It was just across the street. I'm still dressed. But for some reason, he wrote a narrative that he was driving and with his hot girlfriend in his $85,000 BMW, and he nearly hit me by slamming on the brakes, resulting in a chain reaction of 5 other BMWs behind him, all getting, in an accident. And everybody had to get out of the car and kind of like check on everybody.
Several $100,000 of damage.
It's a cul-de-sac out here. It's like a 20-mile-an-hour zone, And I'm like reading this, going, "What the?" It was bizarre because he literally fabricated this entire narrative, around me going to get the mail. So.
And that would, I think, further support the idea that he has bipolar, because in that manic state, any theory of mind just goes out the window. They cannot consciously perceive other people's thoughts as different from their own, and that enhanced sense of self-importance. They also tend to believe that whatever they say, you'll believe them.
Oh yeah, no, he does. He thinks that he's like wondering why people don't believe him. He thinks the judge and everybody else was just like they're the ones that are insane, right? Because how could they
possibly be him?
Yeah,
right?
how could they not believe him?
Yeah, no. From my experience, like since I have a bipolar sister myself, they tend to have like a very romanticized view of reality at times, where they'll tend to be more self-centered. Not saying not all bipolar people are like that. But that's a common trait where they tend to be more romanticized about life. They may want to they'll take the most boring and mundane experience that you can have in life and try to spruce it up, even if it means exaggerating the details.
Yeah, that sounds about what he does. By the way, I'm dissolving. Can you see this? It's weird.
Actually, Steve,
you can have,
I'm sorry, I was going to give a quick anecdote.
Yeah, no problem. One
of my former closest friends developed bipolar, and in one of his particularly bad manic states, I was taking my mother out for lunch, and we saw him roaming the streets. So I got him into my back seat, and I'm Lebanese, so he tried speaking Arabic to my mother, and all he knew was 3 words. So he kept on just repeating them over and over, thinking that he could bluff my mother into thinking that she was having trouble understanding his Arabic. It was the most bizarre fucking thing.
That is bizarre. Well, that's 3 more words in Arabic than I know.
What are the diplomas up on the wall behind you?
Honors
from
in
Amazon.
science. Sorry. Honors in science. And,
Jackson Hole University, Bible, Patriot Bible College. YouTube University.
He mails in his he mails them in from the same place that freaking Kent Hovind does.
And one of them is specifically for being a royal pain in Steve's ass.
It's more like they asked Macabre. They said, do dogs reproduce dogs? He says yes. Then you got a PhD. There you go.
Well,
you're smart.
Well, I mean, you guys do know that pine trees don't come from elephants, right?
Yeah.
But elephants do come in pine trees.
Yeah, with their consent.
Yes, with consent. So there's an awkward moment.
Only the ones that aren't rapists.
God damn it. There's an awkward moment that happened during the or after the memorial service for my grandpa this weekend. So, and Pam can attest to this. If one of our family members walks into the room that me and Pam are staying in at my grandmother's house, and I mentioned Kent Hovind, and his face lights up with recognition, and just in the back of my mind, horror dawns because my family's incredibly Christian. And I'm just like, oh no, that was recognition for Dr. Dino.
So seriously,
to me, it's even worse because if all the Christians, you could really be a fan of really any Christian apologist, but you happen to be a fan of Kent Hovind of all people.
Remember, you're a fan of the one who bragged for beating his son in the dentist office.
Oh, it's the dude was that dude that we talked video games with, not your cousins, but the other dude?
Yes, the other guy.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, God, no. I was out of that portion. I was zoned out.
That's for the best.
Oh.
Brass isn't a fan of Kent's.
No, not Brass.
I completely hate Ken Hovind.
Yeah,
and Ken Ham for that
matter.
No, she's talking about the family member that I was talking to that
there were 3 different people in the room other than us. There were his 2 cousins and then the dude that recognized Ken Hovind's name. So I was trying to determine what?
So much what I mentioned Kent Hovind, and that's when it dawned on me. This is going to be a real awkward family reunion.
So let me ask you, Cyrus, because it's Rum and Coke night, and I kind of went to go try to find some flat earthers. I looked around, nothing really that much going on tonight. There's a troll in the live chat, however, but
is it BLM?
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's I'm getting, and I know this is going to sound awkward, and I don't mean it to be, because I love getting messages. I love people commenting to me. I try to read everything that's sent to me. I just have a lot of platforms, and I get inundated with a lot of messages. Honestly, I don't have that much resources, time, or wherewithal to respond to trolls or people that are just saying, "Oh, evolution." You know what? They can put anything they want on my videos. I don't give a shit. But I'm basically you know what? Go back to school. That's it. I'm not going to spend 5 hours in these conversations and 500 comments later with some idiot that has never bothered to even go open a textbook on the topic.
At that point, you're giving them the liberty to have control over your time.
Yeah, and that's why I just...
That's the last thing you want to give
It's been a lot of them lately, and every one of them, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? The reality is creation was taught nowhere, and evolution's taught in every accredited biological department in the world. So guess what? You've already lost. So you don't need my approval. You don't need
Not to
my
mention,
changing my position, because you know what? You need to go fucking convince the experts. Go write your paper, win your Nobel, but leave me the fuck alone.
that's actually my default response now is whenever somebody gives me a wall of text of information to sit through or to sift through, I would literally just go, you know what? It looks like you've already done a lot of this work. Sounds like you can just input this into a paper and submit it
There
to
you
a journal.
go.
You could win your Nobel Prize. Go ahead and do it. And every single time they're just like, like you think I'm going to spend my time doing that? And I'm like, so it's more worthwhile for you to spend your time convincing one guy in a YouTube comment section than it is for you to spend your time earning $15,000 in a Nobel fucking prize.
Appears to be the case, right? I mean,
it's like that's your judge of standard. That's your standard judgment for how much your time is worth. Your time is worth a single small sub 10,000 YouTuber, but it is not worth a $15,000 Nobel Prize.
Thanks for pointing out that I'm still sub 10.
I'm sub 10 too, though. I'm talking about me.
Oh, yeah, we don't care about you. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, at least think about this. At least he thinks you're worth more than $15,000.
I mean, fair, but
so.
I know for a fact I'm not. I've even got I mean, maybe at a brothel with these boobs, but at the same time, I don't think I could convince anybody with his facial hair.
Then again, non sequitur is over 10,000, so I guess I'm not really lower. But anyways, but here, again though, I just want to reiterate that I'm not going to be responding to a lot of the troll things out there, and it's not that I don't mind the occasional dumpster fire. Look, if somebody really wants to throw down with a bunch of people, I'm not doing anything individual, especially with biology. I'm not a biologist, but if they want to just for shits and giggles, entertainment value to show off how stupid they actually are, they're welcome to join and talk to actual experts. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm not going to sit there in a video and just comment back to them and go, well, let me. I had explained to a person. They're like, oh, there's only negative and neutral mutations. I'm like, okay, then obviously you don't understand what it means to be neutral, positive, or beneficial mutation with respect to the environment. So
how do we define what is and what isn't a positive mutation
with respect to the environment? And how is this humble bragging? This is me just I'm not being humble. I'm not wasting my time with these people. I'm a little bit. I have other things more important to do. So take it for what it's worth.
Well, you have to know that the Earth obviously there is no such thing as gravity. So
and Steve doesn't.
And I don't.
There's no such thing as gravity.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Things are just heavy.
Have you heard about these conjoined twins in Canada that's been on the news in science communities and whatnot?
No.
So
I tend to not focus on Canada that much.
Well, it's sort of actually important for everybody, but there's these two conjoined twins. They're conjoined at the top of the head to the top of the head, and two separate bodies, right? And what they discovered, because they recently did some brain scans and whatnot of the way these two function, it was somebody who works on artificial intelligence and machine learning and whatnot got interested because they have a particularly interesting thing about them. And what they discovered is there's this tiny cord of a bundle of just a few thousand neurons or a few million.
Links them together?
Yeah, it links the thalamus together, specifically in the brain. And so they can share thoughts, they can share vision, they can share sensations, whole bunch of stuff through this tiny little bundle. And essentially what is being said is mapping this out and having an example of this is providing a blueprint for the first direct brain interface where we could send information directly into someone's brain, whether it's
because at that point you're not instead of linking brain to brain, you're basically linking brain to hard drive at that point.
Yeah, and I think that
they need to figure out first how to decode it. So they probably figure out how to link one brain to another first through some methodology. But if they can decode, which it's a little bit easier because all the information that's relevant to these things is passing through this tiny little bundle, right? This tiny little link.
Yes, you're just having to read the things that are going through the bundle instead of mapping the whole fucking brain.
Exactly. So it's basically the blueprint for figuring out how to make virtual reality in the mind, almost.
Well, it's simulation theory already, right? I mean,
10 years away because of this advancement. They figure there'll be a working version in 2 years, and it'll be available to the public in 10.
That's lovely.
I can't wait to play Resident Evil that way.
I can't wait to do the
So wait.
Matrix and have my brain
it's
put
a
in it.
really
So
crazy.
World of Warcraft will be beamed in my head.
Eventually, you'd be in the
And
world.
by the
of
way,
Warcraft.
why did I go to World of Warcraft for like virtual porn? That's weird. You know, you think that'd be like, oh, you have porn directly to your brain, but no, World of Warcraft would be better. I'd rather raid VR.
I would much rather play video games through VR than pretty much anything else.
So
It
fun-
also opens up a whole new field of science for fucking Matrix type shit where you're literally just put into a fucking preservation bubble.
Well, this is the
and
thing.
your brain can interact with the things around it.
Yeah, fun fact. You know, I've been trying to get some games going with some people, and
What games?
Rift and Team Fortress 2, and maybe Neverwinter Nights.
You should look at Divinity Original Sin 2.
You could get me on TF2.
It's really good.
I mean, if you play
If you were to look at Reg's video of it, he was saying that it should be Game of the Year earlier when it came out earlier the year.
I'll check it out. I mean, I don't play games
It's
very
kind of
long.
Neverwinter Nightsy.
I've been playing Fallout Shelter.
Yeah.
I like games with low, easy learning curves, and that I don't have to sit for very long. And that way I can take like breaks. I can go away. See, the problem with like World of Warcraft, I stopped playing that because you know when you're raiding, you know you can go 4 hours at a time, and you have 25 other people to depend upon you, right?
Might I suggest League of Legends for that, because matches last like 40 minutes tops, and that's when things go bad.
League of Legends is a cesspool.
The
community is a cesspool. You're right, but it is a fun game, and I'll play it with you.
Divinity Original Sin 2 is kind of like it's kind of like playing Dungeons and Dragons or it's a role playing style thing, but it has its own in game engine and it's multiplayer. I think you can get up to 8 people.
A lot of people are liking TF2. So I tell you what, you know, if you like Team Fortress 2 and you want to maybe start a team going, message me and just put TF2 in the header or something, and maybe I'll compile a little list, and maybe we'll make
stream
it like
it on your channel.
No, it won't be on my channel. Somebody else is doing a gaming channel.
Okay.
Hannah's going to be doing a gaming channel that she has, and one of the suggestions that I had given to her was proprietize on a single type of game, because there's so many different variations out there, and get good at that. And TF2 I play with TF2 with her, and we enjoy playing that. And I'm like, look at the community with TF2 is they're just weird. I mean, and so the voice, just listening to the voice of people talking, they say the funniest stupid shit, right? And I thought that would make a good stream, right? So I would be playing with her and other people. So if you want to play TF2, just let me know, and we'll get something going.
I might do that.
I'll
do it.
Hop on with you.
I'll join.
I didn't mean any of you here.
Sorry,
Fuck you, Steve.
So I'm out of cigarettes, so I'm going to go on a quick run for some more.
Yeah, we'll be here probably when you get back, Macabre. Get something to
So
drink
is you
too.
want me to jump out of the conversation, or
You can stay in it
leave
now. Stay in here, it's
You
fine.
can always just like mute your mic and hop out,
Yeah,
and
just
then
mute
that'd be
your-
fine.
Yeah, just mute your mic, and
See you guys in a
and
bit.
you can turn off your cam.
That way, you don't see him like change his pants real quick and flash the dick.
Yeah, yeah. Pam may like that, but because she's probably never seen one before, right?
I've never even seen mine. I take down my pants and I'm like, holy shit. I still
let's catch up on the live chat real quick. By the way, you know what? I miss having the live chat on the video stream. Ever since it records, I don't have to do that any longer, but I kind of miss having that stream come up. I should add that in.
Might be interesting.
I think so.
It's
I
easier,
like
actually.
the aesthetic of having the chat on the video as
Me
well.
too, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I think it does add a level of interaction between the content creator and the audience.
Well, especially when you're watching it in post and you don't want to be watching the video. Like if you want to full screen the video but still see the chat for context, it's a whole lot easier to have the chat as a as a motion thing that's happening on the video itself than having to try to finagle. I'm going to have the chat here and I'm going to be full screen here, or I can just not be full screen and suffer.
Well, sir, so I'm watching it from my iPad now, and I full screen it, and chats are coming up.
What I would have to do
Yeah,
is
the chats come up, but they obscure people. If you set it up as a
He's picky as fuck, is what he's trying to say. He likes it to be two separate things.
Yeah,
or
like
one thing, but like in a unique, special way that allows for everything to be seen.
what I'm saying is, I'm a snowflake,
fucking
and
voyeur.
what you said is very, very offensive to me.
Can we drop one dislike in the chat?
Damn.
One thumbs down in the chat, just for the Kraken Source's voice. Just emojis of thumbs downs, please.
Either or.
Tons of thumbs down emojis. This is why I hide behind a cartoon avatar, guys.
Yes, everybody. Thumbs down emojis. Cyberbullying for all.
Oh, it's not cyberbullying. It's cyber hierarchy.
Oh my god! It's only because you've been reading Unordinary.
I forget where you had
Cyberarchy.
I forget where you had the CC. What is it? The CCS script, or where they changed it to transparent. I forget what you had that with this. I'm using XSplit, not OBS.
And I wish I could
don't
help you, but
remember.
I am OBS.
I haven't used this in so long.
I abandoned XSplit like a freaking failed child already. Nah, I'm not doing it again.
I've heard some good things about OBS. Is that like a really good thing for streaming?
If you're streaming,
it's a really mediocre thing for stream. It works.
It'll do what you need it to do, and it has a very low learning curve to do it. It's better if you have Streamlabs attached to it, because then it adds some more functionality to it. But if you're just wanting a bare bones stream that you can have some decent functions on, then you could do a decent bit with OBS by itself. But I would highly suggest running it through Streamlabs if you want to do anything serious using OBS.
Yeah, I use Streamlabs, but I normally you can just use a CSS script, but I don't remember where to put it in for the XSplit. Oh well, I'll have to figure that out.
Rum and Coke Night, Technical Support Edition.
It's always that way, isn't it? It's like half the time I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Well, you know, JMD's pretty good with tech support, aren't you?
No,
I am JMD's tech support.
That is very true.
JMD is what gets you closer to God, not performance on a computer.
Even with that. Nah, okay.
I don't know why I can't figure this out. I mean, there's only so many places you can put the CSS, right?
I still can't.
Come on, live chat. Give me some technical support here. Where do you put the...
Guys, let's grab Iowan. He
advanced
can't use drop-down boxes. Maybe he and Steve can get together about drop-down boxes.
Yeah,
my favorite memory with Iowan is finding out that the reason that after 4 hours of tech support with Iowan, trying to figure out why the hell his Blue Yeti sounded like shit, turns out the entire time he didn't understand what a drop-down menu was. And if he had been sharing screen with me, I could have figured it out a whole lot sooner too.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things about things like Blue Yeti and Snowball as microphones.
They're good mics.
Stuff.
Snowball is the best budget the best budget mic you can get, in my opinion, because it's $50.
Yeah, that I have the exact same mic you're talking about too.
Yeah, it's $50. The other thing is that it's a USB mic, so it has its limitations, but it's still very good outside of getting your higher end condenser mics. I have a regular, like the $120 Blue Yeti, but that's just because I got it for free from a pedophile, because that's a very fun story.
Okay. But that was kind of bizarre.
But it's a true story.
Quiet?
So basically what happened was...
I'm not sure I want to know the details now, but go ahead.
Actually,
just saying, this could go really dark really quickly.
So there was a friend of my my mom and her husband who was a publisher, and one of the people that he was a publisher for wanted to make an audiobook for his written work that he had just recently published. And I mentioned that it's a project that I would love to do, because I learned a lot about audio production, but I never actually did anything serious with it yet. I hadn't made my channel yet or anything. So I was like, sure, I'd like to try that. And he's like, okay, cool, but you are going to need a higher fidelity mic. So he gives me a Blue Yeti so that I can record for this guy's book. Well, then after I have the Blue Yeti, this guy goes dark on Facebook for like 2 weeks, and I don't hear anything from him again. And then when I finally get in contact with him again, he's very, very short, and he just goes, "Sorry, no, deal's off. Keep the mic. Bye," and then just pretty much blocks me on Facebook after that point. I'm like, "Well, what the fuck?" I mean, I'm happy I had the free microphone, but holy shit, what happened? Well, turns out there was an altercation between him and the rest of my family because he had some mental issues that happened when they were on a camping trip, which I'm not terribly privy to. Kind of glad I'm not. And then they found out after the fact that the reason is apparently the guy has a lot of mental issues. One of which is that he came out of prison for pedophilia at one point. So they pretty much cut ties with him completely, and as a result, he cut ties with me. But it does mean that I have a wonderful story about a pedophile who gave me a Blue Yeti microphone.
Okay.
So all good. So all stories have a good silver lining.
So you're saying that every story with a pedophile ends up having a happy ending? I don't think that's the case.
at least when a mic is involved.
Well,
is that what I heard you kind of imply with that?
Do you mean Mike is in a person named Mike, like a child named Mike, or do you mean Mike is in
a microphone?
Okay, a piece of equipment I could agree with you. The other one, maybe not.
Nah. I mean, like,
who's flipping the top of the tin can? Come on, people.
Oh.
Somebody's got like ADD going on or something.
Pam, was that you?
There we go.
No, but thank you for announcing to the world that I have ADD or ADHD.
Who doesn't have ADD?
No, I was saying because you actually had, like, me and you both have 10 cans of Diet Coke.
Like,
that's racist.
Like, who doesn't have ADD anymore? Jesus.
I know. Like,
I think it was still definitely
everyone.
You were just doing it with your toes.
I think like everyone's doing it like pretty much like I think by now ADD is more or less just an excuse to give children medication.
I don't know if I necessarily.
In some cases, so sometimes it's used as an excuse, and sometimes it's not. Like I am extremely ADHD, but because of the world that we live in, and people going, "My child has ADHD. Give him everything he wants."
Give him the Ritalin.
My ADHD goes unnoticed because I actually jump, and you can even ask Cirrus, I jump from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. Like throughout this entire stream, I've read a webcomic. I have scrolled through my entire Facebook feed twice. I've gone on and looked at memes. Like, I have done several things in the span of the time that we have been on this stream because I cannot sit and do one thing at a time.
You know, if you were looking at the live chat, you would actually have access to a webcomic because BLM has been a hilarious adventure to watch. You would have access to all the memes you want because I'm sorry, Steve, your chat is a meme.
So, like, I just hate the fact that like people like me go unnoticed, or people like Chris or Cirrus who has very, very bad ADD and literally bounces not out of boredom from topic to topic, but simply from the fact that he cannot focus on one thing without struggling.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Please do not look at my screen.
I mean, I do. There is definitely legit cases.
Oh, yeah, but people whine about it all the time. They're like, oh, my kid has ADD. He needs his phone with him during school. It's like, no, you're just making it so that way your kid doesn't learn.
Yeah, like, I mean, it makes it even worse because, like, a big thing that I've had, like, obviously there's exceptions to everything, but a thing that does help is having social interaction with people so you can, because it's sort of like a moderation thing. If you're around enough people where it can help you, but if you're on your phone and that's all your level of communication comes down to, that's not really going to help you out with any of your conditions.
Well, okay, hear me out, because I agree with what you're saying, but there's a lot of people like myself who are antisocial and have very, very bad anxiety being around people. And there's one thing that I agree.
I'm
there's
autistic
one thing that
myself.
I really, really do agree with in the school system that a handful of schools have incorporated, and that's having caseworkers who have kids with ADHD, ADD, Asperger's, things like that. They give them a little colored card. That way they can go to the library or the computer room or to sit with a counselor whenever like the classroom setting is too much. Because for me, my entire school life was a struggle up until like sophomore year because I was in public school. Like that's a shitty environment. And then mid sophomore year, early junior year, I got transferred to homeschool, and my grades went from C's and D's to straight A's and B's because I could sit there and learn it and not have people yelling and screaming and giving me all of that bad anxiety, and my dad would not believe me. And so he's like, if you fuck this up, then I'm just going to pull you out of school and you're going to just be a dropout for the rest of your life. And I was like, okay, shithead. I've been asking for this for 2 years. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
He just wants to be drugged up.
It's definitely a real thing. And there is a problem, though, with it being overprescribed.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, I mean, you definitely, and that's, well,
because you don't have a kid.
You get a lot of.
Then you obviously aren't hitting him hard enough. Be a Kentovind.
No, a lot of schools, if a kid is misbehaving and they're a little bit rambunctious, and they will recommend Ritalin and say this kid probably has ADHD or whatever, without a proper diagnosis. Pretty common.
Well,
yeah, I mean, like there is legit, like, there is some people that are legit. I just think that they sometimes just like overprescribe it and they make it where I think it has something to do with the child worship. You could say that's been happening. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with loving your child, but I think there's also like
never
everyone
spank
gets a
your
trophy.
children.
It's like the
Don't
whole,
hit your children. Don't discipline them. Let them. Everyone gets a gold medal. Everybody participated.
Yeah, I know. That's like the thing that I always found. Like, oh, your child is the most perfect, lovely child. It can never fail. Never.
That's a quick way to set it up for failure. Just saying.
Yeah, just like you can do absolutely nothing on a baseball team and still get a trophy at the end of the day.
I just realized that the outside feed couldn't hear me. I had it temporarily muted. My bad. So they didn't hear anything that I just said, which is fine. It's probably a good thing because I was making pedophilia jokes, and that's probably never a good thing to have.
Monetized.
You were all laughing at shit in the outside chat, going, "What the fuck are they talking? What the hell are they laughing at?"
Well, the sound really out of context.
Yeah, exactly. But the only reason I know now is because I actually put the chat in the live chat, or the video screen, because I can actually see it. Because my webcam's over here, and I don't look at my Zoom. I'm only looking at like this particular screen, and so I now can read that.
Hey Dave, how much do you pay for your smokes?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't smoke really. I vape.
Oh, that thing was a vape.
They're $8 down here.
Oh no, that wasn't a vape. I wasn't smoking a cigarette.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they're $8.
This motherfucker just sent me back $21.
That's ridiculous.
Australia. I know.
Is it
dude?
Wait, cigarettes? Is regular cigarettes?
Yes, these are regular
Jesus
cigarettes.
Christ, it's $21 a pack. I'll smoke the fucking filter.
Dude, it's fucking retarded. Like, I'm not an everyday smoker. I've just been stressed as fuck with work lately. But for fuck's sake, I'm basically it's $1.10 a fucking cigarette.
Yeah, no, that's dude, ridiculous. I quit smoking 3 years ago, and I gotta tell you, it was the best thing that I ever did. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But I don't regret it.
Since you're on non sequitur show, you still can't escape the cancer.
Yeah, well,
I mean. Always use that fantastic vitamin B12.
I lead a relatively active life, so like I'm going to be coughing and spluttering for 3 months after this smoke bender. But
yeah, no, I quit smoking.
Dude, $21 a pack, that's not worth it. I'd never spend that kind of money for cigarettes. Never. Even if I had that kind of money to spend on cigarettes, I wouldn't ever. I mean, I'm glad I quit when the pack was $5 a pack. That was a bit much for me. Now they're like
it's around
$9
$14 a pack here. Last I checked.
That was what I was paying for a packet when I was 19 years old.
Dude, I'm telling you, just pick a weekend where you don't feel like going out and that you can probably be in bed for 3 or 4 days, and just if you want to quit, that's how you do it. I tell you, you're gonna get sick of shit though. I smoked for 25 years and I got sick as crap when I quit smoking.
No, dude, I'm not an everyday smoker anymore. I just go through smoking benders, so this fucker will be done in the next 8 to 12 hours.
Wow.
But then I'll go back to my nicotine gum and not touch a cigarette for a week. Like my hobby is MMA. So like especially when you get down to the ground and you're huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
If you've had one of these within a week, I basically just bent over coughing to the extent that I nearly pass out.
Yeah, I've been there, dude. I this wasn't the defining factor that I quit smoking, but I think it mentally kind of what did play into it. Several years ago, like right before I decided to quit smoking, I was playing with my daughter catch in softball, and within about 10 minutes, I was dying. I was on the ground wheezing, and I was like, "Holy crap, I can't do this." And I had bad allergies to begin with. I don't like going outside because I very very allergic to pollen and flowers, and it's not like I break
I'm
into
allergic
hives,
to air. I have asthma, so like going outside and just breathing in general hurts.
Yeah, I'm allergic to sun, people, water,
I literally so
fun.
Chris, Circe and I took like a 6-hour car ride down to Florida for the memorial service. We got out of the car at one of the truck stops midday, halfway to Florida. Looked at myself compared to his stepdad, his mom, and him, and I'm sitting there like, I am fluorescent.
We're fucking glowing compared to us.
Hey, they're just sitting there and they're all like kind of like tanned, brownish, because like him and his mom are Indian and his stepdad is outside all the time, and I'm sitting there like bask in the glow of the nerd.
Yeah, I wouldn't even smoke now if they were free. I don't miss it at all.
Yeah. I mean, like, with me, like I'm white as hell, so I'm just like, the sun and me just naturally don't get along. Like, if I go to the beach, I don't really tan, I just get burned.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that happens to me every time I go online because my fan base knows that I can take a hit.
Yeah, so
different.
I think that has something to do with the fact that I'm part Irish.
Hey, what are you doing with that pillow?
You probably don't want to know.
You just smell it. It's good. Smells good. It smells like my head.
Which one?
The one in the bag.
Only on Rum and Coke night. I haven't really put a dent in it. Like I said, I don't really drink that much.
You're right, Steve.
We
need to help you with that.
Anal.
Yeah,
one of my favorite words.
It's a fine word. I have a physical limitation where I don't drink that much.
It's also one of those where it just stops sounding like a word after a
Just
while.
for the taste, like I bought some brandy. That last time I bought brandy was like 4 months ago. That's how long it lasted. I just put a little bit in my coffee. That's it.
A little bit.
If I drink, I always
makes one cup of coffee, pours it into 4 cups, and then fills the rest of it with bourbon, and that's his coffee.
There's a little bit of coffee right there.
That's rum and coke. This is straight gin.
See, Steve, I'd like to point out that you say you're allergic to people, but I literally just like randomly get messages from you like, hey, I'm at a coffee shop. Can you talk to me on Facebook or on Hangouts? Like, allergic to people, my ass.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you're not people. I mean, and we're you're over the internet, right? But I gotta tell you, I did have fun the other day. When I was at that coffee shop and I was talking to Circe, actually from the coffee shop. There was baristas there, and Circe and I were kind of coming up with questions to ask the baristas, trying to see what the average person kind of thinks. And I've gotten about 6 sample sizes so far, but or 6 out of 10. I was going to do 10 people. Not what I expected, to be honest with you. We're stupid.
People are just discussing their ethnicities in the chat right now.
I am Greek and not Greek. I'm German and Russian.
She's the angriest
How the
girlfriend.
Fuck did you mix up Greek and German?
Because I'm sitting here
They
watching
both
a
start
Greek
with a J, duh.
My last name is
I'm
McCray. Yes, I'm Irish.
So I'm like, oh yeah, Greek foods. So like the first thing that popped in my mind, I was like, I gotta say that I'm German and Russian, and then the G just came out as like Greek, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not correct. Excuse me while I rescind my statement.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm half German because that's where my mom was born in Germany, and like I'm part Puerto Rican because that's where like my dad's side really comes from. So I have like sort of a mix between both, like that.
My mom was Russian and my dad was German. So my dad's side of the family is really, really like nice until you get under their skin by saying one wrong thing, and then like it's completely done and over with. My mom was just a general asshole. Like you looked at her wrong and she just fucking come up to you, be like, what the fuck did you say to me?
And you got the most angry parts of both of those.
I really did.
That's the genes.
Sounds
But
like
I'm wearing
Russian
shorts.
It sounds like Russian mums are no different to Lebanese mums. Like, I seriously remember growing up, when my mum took me to a supermarket, if the cashier did not give her a smile when he or she was stacking her bag, she would just fucking tear into them. I remember one time she had this poor teenage boy in tears, demanding to see the manager because she felt his service was substandard.
My mom was the same way. Like, when I was in middle school, like elementary school, middle school, I would always warn the people at my school on the first day of school, if my mom comes in and she is not carrying her purse and her Mountain Dew, you are fucked. Like, you better know that someone's gonna get fucking hit, and if you call the cops, she's gonna beat the cop's ass and then pick him up and beat you. Like,
with the cop.
With the cop.
With the cop.
Like
an old school beat 'em up game. You pick up the cop and you throw it at the students.
Like, she would not fuck around. And I remember one day, I got a call from the principal. Like, the principal called my teacher, and the teacher was like, Pam, your mom's here because of the thing that you did earlier. And I was like, oh, come on, man. So I walk up and my mom's tearing into the fucking principal. She's like slamming her hands on the desk. She's like, why the fuck did you call me? All she did was fucking hit a kid. That's not standard to call me. Just fucking deal with it.
I know.
Oh, that's one good mum story. I got to tell this one. So, when I was about 13, and I must have been 15, because my younger brother was in his first year of high school, which in Australia starts at grade 7 when you're probably out on average of hitting 13. So my brother has this angry phone call from this father of another student, accusing him of stealing a cell phone. And my brother's like, I didn't do it. I don't know what you're on about. And look, my brother isn't a thief. So I automatically knew that this was just bullshit. So, I gestured for him to give me the phone, to say, Anton, look, I'll step in for you. Oh, fuck. Anyway, he shook his head and said to this father, look, mate, if you want to discuss this matter, you can speak to my mother. And this guy said something, or I don't know what he said back, but my brother responded with, mate, my mum makes grown men cry. You don't want me to have to do it, but fuck, if you make me, I'll put her on. That's how fucking fierce she was, that, literally she fucking would put him in just to argue with a dickhead about a stolen phone. Oh, either way, I thought it was a fucking funny story.
Mums can be very mean.
Can we pick
like
flat earthers?
Like, oh yeah, like with my mom, like, because my mom was really short, like compared to me. I'm like 5'10", 5'11", and my mom was like 5'3", 5'4", like around that range. But it would be funny because I'm towering over her, but yet all she'd have to do, like, to know if things were serious, just give me that look, and that could really just scare the hell out of her.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with that past generation, but mums born in the 50s, like late 50s, mid 60s, they just have that death stare. It breaks your soul a little bit. That's because they've seen
some shit, so like they just bring out all the past anger and they just give you the look that literally just shreds your skin off your body.
They're just constantly holding the anger in, so that the minute somebody's ready to unleash it, there's at least 3 months ready to be thrown out in 3 seconds.
And you know
Enjoy.
What, Cyrus, you just exactly described me. Am I not correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty all women.
I hold in the anger, but I do it so well. I'm like, yes, hold it in.
You think you do, but you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't.
You don't hold it in well.
And I don't know you. I'm just saying that, if you're anything like your mum or like any of the, that generation of mothers, no, you think you're holding in anger. No.
Y'all say that, but when I get pissed, like, I get pissed. Cyrus has not even seen me to this day as pissed as I can be.
So you're saying that I have not seen you as pissed as you can be, but I have seen you swinging a sword in my face so hard that whenever I blocked it, both of our swords bent and I heard loud cracks.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't hit you hard enough.
So do you guys do actual sword do you train in a particular style?
They're LARPers.
Yeah, we do boffer sparring.
Okay, because I recently, this only 4 weeks of it, and I'm absolutely terrible.
What, LARPing?
But,
You're terrified of LARPing?
No, a friend of mine dragged me into sword fighting. So every Saturday I go to a gym called a Sale, and we train in medieval Italian sword fighting.
What type of swords are you using, out of curiosity?
Long swords.
Long swords? Okay.
I have a long sword with a twisted grip handle that I swing like a baseball bat.
She's terrified of being disarmed, so she has a very textured grip so that it doesn't slide up and down. Okay. I make boffer weapons. Like, I have a closet full of boffer weapons that I've built. But so the weapons that we use, they're foam, but they have very heavy cores, so they can. Oh, I think Pam is actually bringing hers right now. But they're foam, but they have very, very heavy cores.
Okay.
Yes, that's hers. And the handle
Fuck.
I was going to show
that is a nice pommel.
And I was going to show that's the handle that she uses that prevents it from slipping up and down.
Yeah, the ones we train with, they're covered with cotton and electrical tape at the end, but they're cut sheets of iron.
Yeah,
so
that one. There should be another one over there too.
Yeah.
So they're reasonably heavy, but I was really actually fucking taken aback by how much the pommel is used.
Oh yeah,
it's really called a pommel for a reason.
Well, yeah, because there's a technique that you use constantly, which is if you're close enough, you don't want to try to swing the blade down. Oh. That is a chandelier. You don't want to swing the blade down. You want to get the back up. That's pretty common. It's why when you have boffer weapons, this pommel here always has to be made of foam. You always have to foam it up, because I can tell you what happens when you don't foam it up. I have a scar here as a result of not foaming a pommel once. Had a sword throw, and then the guy literally deflected it in such a way that that the sword bounced back at me pommel first, and the pommel just sliced me up here.
Fuck.
And
that's extreme lopping.
This is my weapon. I am about half an inch taller than Cirrus. This is my sword. It sits up about heart level.
This one is the one that I normally use.
Your weapon is only supposed to be as long as your hand. So, you should be able to grab it, and you should be able to, lift your shoulder a little bit and be straight. Yeah. Mine
hers is huge.
With the blade that's as tall as me.
Yeah, I prefer having longer handles and shorter blades. She prefers having long handle and incredibly long blade.
So that way I can throw it at you and catch it.
And then I have this one, which doesn't have any particular owner anymore, but this is for anybody who's scared about their knuckles getting hit. This can actually handle about, I'm trying to remember, we've had everybody, even a 300-pound person, slam down on this, but it goes down just enough to bounce back anything. We've never had anybody have knuckle injuries with this weapon, because it just bounces everything off.
Yeah, Cirrus, make me a foam 8-gauge shotgun. I'll fuck you both up. Just saying, good game, man.
What do you think of this 3D printed gun business, Steve? What's going on in the state?
Three or four shots, and then the last shot kills the owner.
It's just first of all, it's just like any other thing. I mean, anything can be weaponized, right? So, I mean, if you're in possession of a weapon, you're not supposed to have one. There are penalties for that. I mean, the only real major consideration is that they can be taken on planes easier because they're not metal, but you'd still need a metal firing pin. So
I would also
no, you don't.
You still need a firing pin.
You're required to put a firing pin in by law, but if you choose not to,
then how do you fire it without a firing pin?
Well, do they 3D print bullets too?
Yeah, you still need metallic bullets. So I mean, there's still obviously metal involved with it. So I don't. It's not a big.
You can't 3D print gunpowder.
Yeah, how many people are going to bother with it? I mean, it's a lot easier to go get an actual gun. I don't give a fuck. I mean, the average person's not going to be making 3D guns, and it's a stupid thing, to be honest with you.
Well, like, do you think that it should be legal if somebody wants to, though?
Sure. Why not?
To print a like unregistered, unregulated gun.
You know what? I'm not even for gun registration at this point. It doesn't really do anybody any good. They fight off serial numbers anyways. I mean, if the criminal element is going to have an illegal weapon, they're going to have an illegal weapon. So whatever. It's just, dude. I remember back in my day, we had the Anarchist Cookbook. You could make grenades out of shotgun shells and cardboard and a nail and cork and some super glue. Or hot glue. So I mean, there's always been these things out there to make homemade improvised weapons. Let's be realistic.
Well, you're part of the MacGyver generation.
Yeah, exactly. And if somebody says anything about weaponized marshmallows, yeah, you know what? Stick enough marshmallows up your ass, see how that feels. If it, I guarantee it, it's going to be torture.
If you take marshmallows and shove them down somebody's throat, then oh god damn it, Steve.
We have marshmallows up your ass. How to do that?
Take marshmallows, shove it down somebody's throat, and then just leave it there. It'll just start to swell and swell and swell.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I could be fucking myself royally here, but look, I don't drink mixed drinks. This is straight Scotch. For the love of God, just lay off the anal.
or a few more drinks, you want more of it.
Steve, you've seen me shit-faced drunk. Do you really want me shit-faced drunk?
No, you're pretty mean actually when you're shit-faced drunk.
Before we get too far away from guns,
I'm drinking straight whiskey.
Reminds me how as a hobby, I kind of want to take up airsoft, but I want to save. I want to save up about $5,000 first, because the only way I'm gonna feel good doing that is if I walk out day one with an airsoft minigun.
There you go. I'd be okay with that. Yeah, that's fun.
Use car batteries.
Yeah, the real ones do. They use one actual minigun uses the power source equivalent to about 2 car batteries, I think.
I used to play almost every weekend in high school.
I would love to do that, man. That sounds so much fun.
I run a Scorpion, the little Russian machine pistol.
We could all end up just converging in the middle of the U.S. for just a big airsoft competition, because me and JMD had a conversation about airsoft as well. I didn't play it a lot, but I did play it a little bit growing up, and I'd be willing to invest again.
Are they banned at LARPing things? If somebody comes in with some airsoft going,
oh yeah, no,
that'd be awesome.
The most heavily.
I'm a time lord from another time.
Traveler from the future.
The most heavily regulated thing at any type of boffer sparring, because what we do when we're LARPing is we don't do any role play. It's just sparring. It's literally just the martial arts aspect. The most heavily regulated thing is always going to be a range weapon of any kind, because there's so many factors that can go wrong. For instance, like my friend Walker, he uses a spear, and his spear is roughly, I think, 8 feet tall. So it is and he can throw it like a javelin pretty accurately up to like 50, 60 feet. And trust me, you can't move it. It's heavy enough where we actually tried, I was using a glaive, and I was trying to deflect the javelin. It's like, let me see if I can even do this. Yeah, that just ended in a bruise every time. You can't deflect something that's that heavy, that's moving that quick. And so we learned, whenever we looked at other places that actually had regulated rules for LARPing, the ranged weapons, there's either 2 rules: so heavily regulated you might not be using one, or banned.
Yeah, I was actually looking at LARPing just the other day, and I noticed the different types of bopping. And
you're quiet again, Steve.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me, or is it just David?
There you go. You're back.
There you go. You're back.
Weird.
Steve, it sounds like one of the wires on your mic might be loose.
It might be. I think I got a bad wire at the base. I'll have to fix it tomorrow.
Might be a bad patch cable. Those things are finicky.
But I was reading about that, and it's just like I wouldn't be interested in the bopping stuff. The role play maybe, but again, I like the idea of adding some kind of a Time Lord element to it, and just going, up to a bunch of LARPers with foam swords and just, kind of going nerfing on them or something with a Nerf gun.
Just like a Nerf minigun.
Yeah, dude, that'd make a hell of a video. Can you imagine attacking the LARPers with Nerf guns?
That wouldn't that just make you the raid boss? You'd be the raid boss.
I actually saw LARP versus Airsoft, and what they do, they have 2 guys that come in with, airsoft pistols. They give them 2 clips. And then they just have 20 people versus LARP, and you have to survive for 20 minutes or 10 minutes.
Watch these LARPers just go down.
Oh no, the LARPs always got them because it's in a closed arena. It's not outside. Because if you're outside, then they won't be able to get to you. But people hide behind wooden boards and stuff like that. in these indoor arenas that I used to play at as well.
I mean, I would love to do something like that. Like you guys use airsoft weapons, and I'll just use LARP weapons. We'll just see if I can dodge bullets long enough to get to you.
I'm actually
Need
really
a really
curious.
gigantic game of like outdoor laser tag.
Could someone please explain to me? From what Cirrus is explaining, it really sounds like it's literally just martial arts, but with some protective gear. Why is it called LARPing in that case?
So the reason for this is because LARPing is an umbrella term, and under LARPing you have live action role play, where it's essentially playing D&D but in real life, where weapons don't make contact, you just have gear and you have show. Next to that, you have LARPing, where it's like D&D, there is role play, but there's physical contact. Next to that, further away from the live action part, you have boffer sparring. Boffer sparring is a subcategory of LARPing, where you have the weapons and the gear that you would use for the role play, but it's only for tournament style martial arts.
Oh, so like instead of wearing chain or plate mail, you're wearing some plastic LARPing shit, but you would want
to be wearing foam, only because with LARPing, all of your weapons. So for instance, this is thick, like my hand goes around that. So that's like maybe a quarter of an inch less than the mid part of the baseball bat. And even though it's foam, the foam is only softening the impact a little bit. You still get down to the PVC core. And the cores are made of shatterproof PVC. Like I can slam that against anything here super hard, and the sword will maintain its shape and it will not shatter.
I will kindly point out to one of Cirrus's streams and several of Steve's where I have joined via the fact that I was at work and had a bad customer and then decided to take one of the swords to a couch.
Yes, they survive a lot of impact. Like you can slam them into concrete and they won't break. But that means though is also if you hit a person with them, they don't break. They have give, but they don't break. So instead of having plastic gear, you want to have foam, because you want something that will absorb the impact when it hits, because they are blunt impact weapons. And because it's not impact, like my hammer back there is foam. It can hurt, but because it has such a large surface area, anything it hits will have the impact damage spread. The swords are hitting in a very, very about that big surface area. So even though it's blunt impact damage, it's not spread very far. So plastic isn't going to do anything. You want foam because you want to spread that impact out so that you don't have broken bones. Because you can break bones while using these weapons. They can do it.
Does your hammer have like a weighted core?
It has. Hold on, let me grab it real quick.
It has a semi-weighted core, but it's made out of plastic instead of PVC.
Yeah, it's a really shitty hammer. Like, for all intents and purposes, the hammer's only a prop for my show and live streams. And in fact, it's actually broken here. I had to repair it.
Okay.
But as far as weight, let me see if you can hear.
It's got a little bit of a thud.
It can make a little bit of a thud. It's not this one. The surface area is big, so it's not going to cause a lot of damage to a single area. But two, it is. There's more foam here before you get to the core. Like that much foam before you get to the core. Whereas with a boffer sword, there's that much foam before you get to a core. So like with something like this, if I were to slam.
Oh yeah, it's pretty solid.
And it doesn't. That's still completely straight. It doesn't budge. But that also means when it hits you, it doesn't budge.
This is the weirdest Rum and Coke
there
I've ever
are
had.
LARPers out there that use actually like just straight up blunted swords and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, there are some like that, but that's as you go. When you start getting to the actual real weapons, then you're just moving into just martial categories, where it's just straight up martial arts with rules. Whereas with boffer sparring, you want weapons that can hit somebody within reason.
Yeah, because I've got some friends that do this stuff too. I've never like seen them actually do it.
Reese says, "Cirrus, try it on the cat." No, don't.
Yeah.
No, Cirrus. No, don't.
No.
No.
I'm not going to
We
try it on
love
the cat.
animals. In fact, most of us like animals more than we do people.
Don't LARP
around
the
here.
cat.
They don't LARP the cat. The cat's gonna be like, "No, I homie, don't play that, man."
No. Steve, you know me. I have no limits. I say shit to offend people just for fun. But the second people joke about animal cruelty,
Yeah, I'm not down for that either. I love animals.
Yep. And we have 4 cats.
Why do you think we want to have a fundraiser just to save GCat? This poor little eyes is going, help, please, get me out of here, please.
Look,
he
I'm sure GCat has impaired hearing just from being around G-Man constantly fucking
that
shouting.
That might be a blessing. Maybe the cat's
This
deaf.
is me from preaching in the choir ministry.
I think the cat prayed to go deaf.
But G-Man does not strike me as someone who'd
prayer
be
that
cruel
has
to
ever
animals.
been answered.
I think if anything, G-Man would treat his pets like...
That's twice we mentioned his name. I didn't mention his name once, to be honest with you here.
Let's just say fuckwit. Okay, fuckwit. I think fuckwit would treat his pets really well.
That's pretty sad when you say the word fuckwit, but everybody knows to whom you're referring to. That's impressive.
I'm just gonna go ahead and point this out there. So I have no reason to disrespect you, Macabre, but I do have to say what you just said is a disrespect to all fuckwits out there.
You stole my joke.
Yeah, what the fuck would ever do to you, man? To be treated like that, to be compared to Gary. Yeah, I'm not going to even call him by his handle anymore. If I ever refer to him, I'm just going to call him Gary. If I refer to his name on YouTube, then I'm actually referring to his name on YouTube, and I don't want to fucking have anything to do with that. So just say Gary.
You know what? That's saying that name is just as bad as fucking anal. I'm having another drink.
Hey, man. Dude, brother.
I am out of tea now, and this is a 44-ounce fucking cup.
Look, I am.
At least you could do anal right.
Hey,
is there a wrong
taking
way?
another drink, boys.
There is a wrong way. It's called not using lube.
It's called receiving, not giving.
Very Grecian of you.
Sorry. Hey, whatever.
Though,
this is already a demonetized video.
Yeah.
No, it's always fucking really perturbed me. This obsession with anal, like, why would you want to risk getting fecal matter on the end of your dick?
Some people just don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a hole right there made for fucking. Why would you want to risk having?
Well, now, don't leave out our gay community members because that's the only hole they've got.
No, there's others.
Yeah, why are you discriminating against Kyle just because he's not here?
They got that one on the face.
Yeah, but what if you're sucking another dick? What if you're sucking another dick? Then you got 2 dicks, 1 mouth. I mean, come on, you gotta have another.
I mean, if there's like 5 dicks involved,
you're right. You're right. Everybody has the right to get spit roasted.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I forget what we used to call it in high school.
But not everybody has the capability.
Not everybody has the capability to be spit roasted.
Tell that to the incels.
Well, the incels.
Is that really? Well, wait, is that really true, Reese? Is GCat's name really Betty? Is that really the cat's name? Is that fucking with me? Reese said GCat's name is Betty. It has a name. It's Betty. Is that really true?
And it's not entirely true about incels, though. They have access to baddragon.com.
I have no idea what that is. I don't think I want to know.
I don't know what that is either.
It's okay. You guys look it up on your own time.
I know they're more concerned about Satanism in the.
Oh my god!
Her name is Betty. Okay, I had no idea. I don't watch his channel. I haven't for ages. The only reason I knew of GCat because obviously GCat became a star on the Great Debate Community channel because there was this poor cat. We felt so bad for it, but it's hilarious. The cat was hilarious. Cat's far more entertaining than any of the CCP.
Yeah, I did not think, Steve, you could ever fucking top that hangout with Von Helden. Was it Van or Von Helden? How do you say that dickhead's name?
Von Helden, the one with the geek room?
He it's the bottle of Mountain Dew, and he screamed at the top of his lungs for 5 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had to watch that in 3 blocks because I got tired fucking hearing him yell.
That is how Surus was with a friggin' Saturday's show from Argument of Contingency.
Oh yeah, I was listening. I was like, well, there's 3 hours of the show, and I got to listen to it in 15 minutes.
What do you think about it, out of curiosity? Like I said, we didn't get that much details on it, obviously, because Cy-10 Brunicate was joining us, and everybody wants to talk to Cy. And I gotta admit, Cy has gotten pretty mellow.
Didn't you want to point out something to Steve?
But what did you disagree with on the argument from contingency, just out of curiosity, or at least my analysis of it, which was very brief. I would have liked to spend a lot more time on that.
Well,
but...
your analysis, you broke it down into five premises, which is fine. That's what
that was Leibniz's version I gave.
Yeah,
because we could always go.
I'm gonna do Gödel's because Gödel's requires modal logic that I don't know.
Well, we could always fucking do the Aquinas' third way, where it's over 31 fucking pieces, and shoot ourselves in the freaking faces.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one either. Both of them, I think, would lead to modal collapse, though. That was a problem with Gödel's, and I didn't want to get into that whole.
A lot of my philosophy it comes down to just defending the a lot of philosophy when it really comes down to it is defending the premises.
Well, that's what most arguments are.
I was talking about the error spelling.
Yeah, Steve. Did you notice your stream
where
you had it as argument from contingency?
Oh, did I?
In your border for the argument from contingency, when you had the friar at the very bottom.
Oh, I have the text.
It's just argument from contingency.
that trigger you?
Cyrus literally looked at me in the car and went, "Pam, I'm gonna roast him."
Okay, so
that's the new argument.
The other thing that got me though was when he made there was a statement Cy made. And bear in mind when I'm in Florida with my grandparents, or my grandparent now, sorry. When I'm in Florida, I'm 10 minutes away from Creation Today, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Literally 10 minutes away from Eric Hoven. But whenever Cy said, well, I think Eric actually is really good. He has a really good thirst for truth. And I'm just like, bullshit.
Well, yeah, but I wasn't going to I didn't want to change the whole dynamic of the stream. I've talked to Eric.
That would have changed the entire conversation.
Eric's been on my channel before. I mean, I've talked to him a couple times. As a matter of fact, I'm still trying to broker him and Apologia. I want to see that happen.
The next time I'm in Florida, if he's not at if he's not at an event, I will be going to Creation Today if they're open for me to go to and see if
I got to tell you, I was bored out of my mind talking to Eric though. He's not as
eloquent
creative as Kent. I mean, he throws out this complete utter bullshit, and then when you try to ask him any of the specificities of what he's saying, he's just like, "Oh well, you need to go kind of check it out. You didn't get up to date on Steve because you need to research things." I'm like, so what you're telling me this thing? Why can't you tell me? Because what you're telling me doesn't make goddamn lick of sense to me.
So wait, you're saying that he's articulate as his father?
He's way less.
He's less articulate.
He'll spill things out like for example, Mr. Brad. Do you know that the entire evolutionary theory of the modern evolutionary synthesis combined with the modification has been falsified because of epigenetics? Oh, okay. Can you explain to me why? Oh, you need to go read about that. Well, no, you're telling me that it's epigenetic. Why? What is epigenetics, Eric? Oh, it's just beyond the genome, and so therefore they know about things that have disproved evolution. I'm like, you don't know fuck all what the fuck you're talking about, do you, Eric?
I mean, at least with Ken Hovind can come across as convincing, even though when he's spouting bullshit.
Yeah, but that's only because he dodges things well.
Gotta say, Kent Hovind would manage to beat any one of us in a competition revolving around martial arts solely based on his ability to dodge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not that he has compelling arguments or anything of that nature. He just dodges questions and asks for
questions. Well, a lot of them do. I posted.
He's more of a showman.
Oh yeah,
than anything else.
But I posted this on my Facebook the other day. And it was kind of funny because I didn't give the details, and it wasn't really one specific instance, but it's a combination of a few. But there was one that that stood out. But I had noted on my Facebook that whenever I do some of these discussions with people, and I try to suss out the main problems with the argument, or at least talk about the core issues with the argument. And I do that by asking questions, right? That's the only way you do it. It is a form of Socratic method. I mean, that's how you get a person to recognize that maybe their position isn't quite as strong as you think it is. Theists do with atheists, atheists do with theists, whatever your position is. And I've noticed something, that at a certain point on certain people, when that epistemic wall is being breached in their head, where their argument is falling around them, right, and collapsing around them, that's when they say, you know what, your questions are malformed, they're wrong, they're loaded, they don't make any sense, or you're trying to lead me into a trap. Well, no, I'm trying to make you think. and I'm trying to make you recognize that the position you have has issues with it. And I posted that, and somebody actually said, well, creationists do it all the time, blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, but this instance wasn't a creationist.
The Socratic method is an honest method of trying to suss something out. It's not the same thing as creationist rhetoric.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually an atheist on Theist versus Atheist, and this person had actually said that I had given an argument. I actually structured it out, premise 1, premise 2, conclusion, and used some logic. And they were like, "Oh, well, that's just a bunch of bullshit because it's all word salad." And I said, "Well, if you think it's word salad,
why salad insofar as you don't understand."
Yeah, it's like, why don't you break it down and explain to me which one's wrong? And somebody actually who knew me and knew my channel actually posted. They go, dude, you may not understand that because you've never read about any of this stuff, but there's nothing word salad about what Steve said, and that's what. And so I was asking them questions, and it's just they're like, "Oh, you're just trying to play word games with me. You're just trying to trap me." And I'm like, no, I'm literally asking you questions because you said what I wrote was word salad, but you don't seem to even understand what the argument was, and yet you're saying the argument's wrong. And then when people tell you, oh, well, you haven't proved the premises, they're axioms, they're assumptions. Now, you can accept the premises, you can reject them, but you need to give reason why you're rejecting them. You can't just say, well, I'm rejecting the premise because it's not true. That's not how you do a proper rebuttal of an argument. You assume the premises are true, but if you don't want to accept them, at least give reason why you don't think the premises are true, right? But it was bizarre. But I've seen it happen quite frequently nowadays, and it's more on the atheist community than it is the theist community that does it. So
that's one of the things that bothers me, like especially since I walked into doing YouTube, was like, oh, I'm going to make my name Cyrus the Skeptic because I was watching a bunch of that at the time, not knowing that there is a negative connotation to that now because most of the people who consider themselves part of the skeptic community aren't the least bit fucking skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
And it bothers the shit out of me because, like,
it's pretty frustrating.
Because, like, as I was watching videos from, like Godless Cranium, Holy Kool-Aid, just a bunch of the channels that I liked and still like today, I would hear, or I would see in comment sections like, oh, atheists with their dogmatic thinking. And I'm just like, well, by what dogma? I don't understand. And then as I started looking through my own comment section on my own videos, I started seeing, especially when I made my video pointing out, hey, these are the arguments against God that people need to stop fucking using because they don't work. Mm-hmm. Especially when I did that, and I got a lot of backlash from that, where there were people like vehemently defending the idea that all theists are mental, that theism is a
which is one of the dumbest arguments of all time. I hate that fucking argument.
And yet, when there were some comments that said, "There's nobody that says that theism is a mental disease," and I'm like, okay, scroll down in the comment section and find the people who are legitimately defending that with all their might. And these are some of the people that will also call themselves skeptics. Sorry, you're not the least bit fucking skeptical at that point. At that point, you have a fucking agenda and you're trying to defend it, and that bothers me.
You're totally right. Absolutely right.
Maybe forbidden fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
Come back.
It's funny you mentioned that, Macabre. It's funny you mentioned that, but forbidden fruit got ran off the internet because of that argument, because he wouldn't let it go, and even atheists were telling him, dude, you're fucking looking like an idiot. You're making us look like an idiot. Stop using that stupid argument, because the reality is, to say something's a mental disorder, that means the brain has to be malfunctioning. It has to be something impaired in the mind or the brain that's not working the way it should. And just having an irrational belief does not constitute that. In other words, it's not. Just because you have an irrational belief doesn't mean that your mind is malfunctioning. It just means you have an irrational belief, even if it's the case that God does not exist. But having a belief that is not true, right, and you're not aware of it's not true, then that's not a mental disorder. That's just you having a false belief.
Yeah. The thing I'd say about that, though, it's kind of that like correlation isn't causation kind of thing. I don't think that you can say religion is a mental disorder, but I do think that some of the ideas that are promoted and some of the types of thinking that are promoted by religion can exacerbate mental
disorders. That's a different argument, though. Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
That's saying something completely different. That's exacerbating something that's already there.
Yeah. If I say I believe in God, how is that a mental disorder? I mean, when I was a theist,
Yeah.
I never had a mental disorder because I was a theist. I had reasons why I believed in it, right? They weren't irrational reasons at all. And so, how you come to a conclusion, if you have a rationality for it, if for example, Plantinga uses reformed epistemology to make theism a rational position. He's a professional PhD philosopher, right?
So let me ask you this: how wrong in the face of evidence do people need to be before they're being irrational enough?
I
to have
mentioned
it
my cat
considered a
earlier.
disorder? Like a
I
flat earther.
mentioned my cat.
Do we,
Here
do
she
we
is.
consider flat Earth like the level of?
Because
Cognitive
I
dissonance
have
required?
made the argument that I consider them to be irrational, and if flat Earth ever got categorized as a mental disorder, I wouldn't be bothered by that. But it isn't. But my argument maybe it should be,
Sure.
because that's something, that's a different thing. That is something that we can actually demonstrate, right? We can show the Earth is not flat. There's an overwhelming evidence of that. So you have to be in a very strong state of cognitive dissonance to hold on to the belief that we're on this flat Earth that's not even moving anywhere or stationary or
It's all buoyancy.
yeah, however they want it. The theory of down. I think that there is something wrong if that is the actual belief somebody has rather than being a Poe. I think if they're a Poe, I think that's a bigger type of potential mental disorder. I think for you to go out of your
Because
way.
At that point, I
Right.
think that, me and Ocean were talking about this at one point, and he was actually in a flat Earth Facebook group being a Poe, just like poking shit at them. And he left it of his own volition, and he told me the reason he left was because people were rallying behind him, thinking he was being legitimate and going, "That's a really good point." And when the flat earthers are saying, "You got a really good point for flat Earth," and you're trying to be a Poe, one, you're demonstrating Poe's law 100% perfectly. Two, get the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. I would have as well. So, but like I said, I mean, none of them are truly a mental disorder. But I'm not qualified to speak on what is not a mental disorder. This is just pure opinion. But yeah, when it comes to flat earthers, I think that if they're ever going to determine,
five behind you and then look through it.
yeah, I think they need to be evaluated. How about that? I mean, I can't say that they're mentally disordered, but
Look, by definition, a mental disorder has to impact your ability
To
to
function,
socialize
yeah.
with others.
right.
So, being a flat earther and having a community of flat earthers, I mean, really, the medical definition of a mental disorder is by fiat, fucking an argumentum ad populum. If you believe in Yahweh, and a whole bunch of other people do, it's not a mental disorder. But if you believe in shibbity bibbity blam, the fucking magic
The
monster
god of
that lives in
scat.
your
We're
asshole.
calling the god of scat.
No, you have a
Yeah,
point. You have a
the
point
god of
there.
scat
Yeah, you have a
lives
point
in your
there.
asshole. You're crazy.
Mhm.
That would, if it impacts your ability to socialize, it impacts your ability to function as an independent adult, and causes you personal trauma or
Mhm.
personal pain, would be a mental disorder.
Yeah.
Skibidi
No, there's a point to be made there, actually.
Skibidi
Dude, I cried like a baby when Scatman passed away.
I did.
loved
I had
Scatman
literally
John.
just gotten into his music, and when he
Oh.
passed, it's upset me a lot.
So let's. You want to go down the rabbit hole? Let's like do the chat real quick because we get posed all the time in my chats, and for the most part, we don't really care one way or another, right? My mods know by now. The only thing I give a shit about is if people use racist comments or bigoted, they're gone, right? So other than that, people can pretty much say what the hell they want. I really don't care. But like people are talking about the relationship between atheism and Satanism, which I find to be a very bizarre connection, right? I mean, yes, there are atheists that are members of Satanist groups. Those Satanists are very specifically non-religious. They're very, well, I should say that they're religious, but they're non-theistic, right? They don't believe in a being called Satan. They make that very clear. They don't believe in a deity.
Yeah, the
called God.
closest thing they would have to a god is the sense of self.
Yeah, but the reason they do that is to mock theists and they mock Christians. Now, it only makes sense that if you're a Satanist of that type, like the Church of Satan, by the way, who one of our videos is actually on their website. The video that we did with what's his name, Deicide, Darren Deicide. They actually took that video and they put it on their website and put a link to our channel, which was pretty cool actually. But so it makes sense that Satanists are going to be atheist, right? I mean, there's no such thing really as a Satanist theist as far as the Anton LaVey crowd, because they're doing it to mock theists, right? It seems weird that there would be a theist to be a Satanist, unless they're a different type of Satanist, right? Like a Luciferian or that kind. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like a little running joke that goes around, like at least in the theist circles that I go into, is like where we just call Satanists, like the Satanists like that we see now, we just call them edgy atheists.
I'm okay with that. They're well dressed, and
they're just people that they're basically just calling themselves Satanists so they can just troll Christians.
Well, that's what it is. But that's what they do. They are the definitive troll group.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
There's nothing wrong with being a troll. If you're just playing around, you're not being if you're not being abusive in your language to people, and you're just trolling around with them to get their go, then I don't have any problem with that.
I mean, I think partly, to some extent, it's also a legal maneuver so that they can challenge certain things in separation.
Which they have done, like in Oklahoma when they put the statue.
That was the temple. That wasn't the Satanic Church.
That wasn't the Church of Satan. That was the temple.
Temple. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same. A lot of them follow the same book for that though, and they do that because it does give them the religious liberties to make those actions against. Which somebody just saying that, hey, I'm an atheist, that doesn't give you any religious liberties of any kind.
But it's so funny that
my religion revolves around cats.
So you're Egyptian.
No. I don't worship the cats.
They worship her.
Really...
So you're a cat flick?
No. See, I tried to make a pun earlier about it being catastrophe because it just fucking blows up in the end.
I go a step further. I mean, I am a Catholic, but I invented my own religion. So when anyone presses me if I'm religious, I tell them I'm a Symphonic Gordonite. So Sapphire is the protege of Gordon Almighty. Gordon is the creator and destroyer of all matter. And Sapphire, my second cat, he brought law to the universe. Ergo, he set the gravitational constant. And when anyone asks me about my religious beliefs, I just go straight to that.
He accounts for the laws of logic, then.
Absolutely. He invented the moon, and the reason black people don't like swimming is because Sapphire was racist.
Well, fuck Sapphire, then.
Hey!
Makes perfect sense.
Do not say anything bad about Sapphire.
He's racist, or she.
Well, he was.
He was having a bad
That's
day.
against his religion.
Wait.
You're being rude to his religion. I think you need to check your privileges.
And I'll have you know, Steve.
I'm going to Gordonite hell.
Toy poodle. No, Steve. White, fucking beach bone white toy poodle crossed my street. Sapphire spear tackled the cunt and then chased him around the block.
Well, I'm going to go to Gordonite hell. That's all I know.
Well, Steve can't talk because he's privileged anyway. He's white, so.
Yeah, and a male patriarch.
Yeah, and he also doesn't exist. Makes it really hard to speak. Not gonna lie.
Did I what?
That you don't exist.
Which makes it really hard to speak.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that.
Sirius, why are you addressing nothing? Nobody said anything.
I have no idea.
Just the other day, I'm not kidding. It's about 3 times a week now, I think, that somebody says they don't believe that I exist, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking to me for? They don't see they don't see the performance error that they're making, right? There's a performance contradiction.
They know you're a simulation, Steve. That's why.
But then I still exist in some aspect, even if I'm simulation. In some aspect, I exist. If I'm a simulation,
exactly what a simulation would say.
Except, but do I have a conscience? So do I have a consciousness?
Well, Descartes and meditations of philosophies are used that you are at least a thinking thing.
Yes, I'm not an automaton, right? Descartes coined the automatons, which would be something that it would be mechanistic, that had no ability to think and reason, right? So if somebody says they don't believe that I exist, then they're literally saying that I don't have the ability to think and reason, and yet they interact. That is a performance contradiction to me, because they're doing something that is irrational if I don't exist to them. Well, no, they'll say this. What's worse is they'll say, and I wrote a blog on this and I broke it down, but they'll say that, well, I know that you exist, Steve, but I don't believe that you exist. I'm like, then you don't know that I exist. It's not possible.
I gotta say, you can't do that because one is a subset of the other insofar as that you can't know something and not also believe it.
But this goes back to when you was talking about, the atheist.
Well, you
that
see,
doesn't
Steve
wanna
is my
understand that.
spirit animal. He doesn't actually exist. I just believe that he exists. Because he's my spirit animal.
Well, I believe that I exist too, but I also know that I exist. But I know that I exist because I believe that I exist. And this is where it goes back to what Sarah's saying when you're talking to certain people that don't understand that argument. It is just as bad as a creationist going, the Earth is 7,000 years old. They're just ignoring facts, and at that point, they're not skeptics, in my opinion.
No, and I would agree with you with that. Like, there's a difference between skeptics and there's a difference between skeptic trademarks.
Well, I think creationism and whether one exists or not, or there are minds other than my own, I think those are two different epistemological questions, because one is more based on empiricism. Well, it isn't. Young Earth creationism isn't that induction based on empiricism of.
No, I would say young Earth creationism starts with a conclusion and then tries to formulate the evidence around it, right?
Well,
I'm curious.
There's no way you can reach one. There's no possible way you could reach young Earth creationist position by looking at the evidence.
Yeah, and even some of the biggest proponents of young Earth creationism now, almost universally, even Eric, now say that they start with the idea that the Earth is less than 7,000 years old, and then they work to make everything else fit from there.
Yeah, have you noticed that even Kent, in later discussions, started pulling the whole last Thursdayism or the Omphalos hypothesis
you don't even.
thing?
It's the same issue
Sure
I have
did.
with fucking Matt Slick, because Matt Slick pulls the same thing.
That's but they're at their end of the rope, and that's what their fallback is. Well,
when you have to fall back into brain in a vat
Yeah.
or solipsism, you're literally just backed into a corner.
and that's what I've noticed with them, because I've never heard Kent until recently go to that length where he had to say, well, God created it yesterday, you couldn't tell, so he could have made it with the appearance of age. At that point, you have lost the battle. I'm sorry. They've lost a long time ago, but
he's been using the same rhetoric for 15 years. He hasn't changed his script, but we've all been reading the damn thing.
Yeah, we know the script better than he does.
And that's the problem.
Steve, what do you think of Christopher Hitchens?
I think he was a good orator. I mean, he was entertaining, very brilliant man. He had a key knack to cut things to the core, to really get to the heart of the matter, and he was very good with one-liners and bitch slapping people, or hitch slapping.
I mean, there's a reason hitch slap was a term, yeah. But what do you think of the concept of Hitchens' razor?
I find for the most part it applies. I mean, I used it the other day only, but I used it comically because
Hitchens' razor?
Hitchens' razor says basically that anything that could be asserted without evidence can be dismissed.
Without evidence.
Without evidence. So basically, in a way, it's just saying, look, if you just
somebody
say
comes up to you and says leprechauns exist, you can say no, they don't.
Yeah, but see there's some problems with that though, and you can assert things, and you don't have to have evidence to assert, and there could be other reasons why you're asserting it because of pragmatic or prudential reasons, and the whole Hitchens' razor takes a very evidential approach. I'm not an evidentialist, so it doesn't really make sense in a lot of instances. It's one of those pop philosophy type things, right?
Yeah.
It's bubblegum.
I will say with that, not to interrupt, but I am about to have to hop off, guys. So I enjoyed this.
Thank you, buddy.
A lot, and I will be heading off for the time being and doing other engagements because apparently as soon as I got home, I lost my ability to do things for myself.
Nice chatting with you.
But I'll give you before you go real quick, sir. Let me give you the example that because the social thing with the Facebook guy and everything like that. That same person, because he said my thing was wrong, and I quoted him Hitchens' razor. I said, well, you said it was wrong, but you gave me a reason, so whatever, piss off. That's
the best way to respond to that. Just like, hey, are you a fan of Hitchens' razor? Okay. Are you a fan when it's used against you? Okay. If you're not, then you're automatically being hypocritical.
Yeah, it's the same argument that I use, and this is like in my own personal argument, that when somebody like a theist, like let's say Mr. Brass says, I believe in God, and you have somebody like David McGinnis saying, well, I don't believe you. Well, if I was Mr. Brass, I'd be like, okay, you don't believe me, fuck off. What do you want me to do? The whole, I just don't believe your claim. Well, I'd be like, I don't give a shit whether you believe my claim. Who the fuck are you? That's the way I would approach it if I was a theist, honestly. I think it's a very silly position.
Later.
Bye, Pam.
Well, later.
Yeah, I mean, who argues like that? Well, okay, I don't
Well, no,
believe
yeah,
you.
I get it. I'm not saying that that's a good argument. I mean, we've had back and forths on this topic, and I wouldn't use that argument in a typical conversation.
But I see they use it against me, right? They're like, oh, well, I don't believe your argument. Okay, well, what's wrong with my argument? Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's why I brought it up.
I'm then like, can you
I
explain
hear
to me my
other people
argument?
use it, but I don't think it's always really appropriate.
But just by saying that you don't believe something doesn't mean jack shit to me. I want to know what the hell. You can't just say, hey, look, I don't believe your argument. And then when I ask you what the hell my argument is, you're like, oh, I don't know. Well, fuck off then. I mean, why are you wasting my time?
See, that really touches on my follow-up question. I've heard that phrase before, and I'm just thinking it's really good if you both have the same basic background knowledge. So if you both, like, you know, a regular person who knows a bit of chemistry, a little bit of physics, a little bit of whatever, Hitchens razor would work fantastic. But the second you talk to someone who's as fucking, you know, ignorant as a flat earther, they can legitimately use that exact same argument because
I was just going to say, yeah, they could use Hitch's imaginary razor.
Well, I've said that just before too. Look at if I say, look at macabre. Like for example, like the Earth is round. Okay, that's fine. The Earth is round, and you say, well, what's your evidence? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm not going to sit here and spend 5,000 hours defending that because that's something that is a waste of my time because the Earth is round. You can go look it up in science books. If I give you one science book, you know, if I give you a quote from somewhere, that I'm done at that point. I mean, I have no onus to prove to you that. I have no onus to demonstrate to you that the Earth is round. Okay, but I'm stating a claim. Yes, it is my belief, and I have an epistemic duty to myself to justify it. I don't owe you a goddamn motherfucking thing if I say I believe that the Earth is round. Okay, so at that point, if for a flat earther to say, well, you're asserting without evidence, could be dismissed without evidence, they'd be in their justificatory thing to do that because, hey, it's Hitchens razor, right? So it's really, that's why it's pop philosophy. It's not really.
It's a little different for a flat earther, though, right? It's got to be a little different because the thing is when people are presenting them with evidence, it is evidence. So it's more like an argument presented with evidence you don't believe in can be dismissed without evidence for flat earther.
Well, and that's the whole point. I mean, here's the thing. Look, even if you submit evidence, they're just going to dismiss it. So what constitutes evidence? Evidence in science is what changes the likelihood of a hypothesis to be true. But if you are just saying, hey, the Earth is round, let me show you my evidence, and they're like, you're not really giving me any evidence because I don't believe any of that stuff. Well, fine, whatever. It's a very pop science.
Give the math, and then it's like, oh no, that's just NASA conspiracy, and gravity's not real.
But do you understand that I'm when I tell somebody that the Earth is round, I do not owe them anything to actually demonstrate to them that. That's a really misunderstanding of the whole burden of proof thing. I'm not if I say the Earth is round and I can show you that it's round, then I have an obligation to do so. But if I'm just stating my position, my opinion on the states of the affairs of the universe, my beliefs, I don't have any evidential burden to you. I only have an epistemic burden to myself that I have to justify it. So I think the same thing. I apply the same thing to a theist. When a theist says, you know, I believe God exists. Okay, you don't have to demonstrate that to fucking anybody.
If you claim it to be a knowledge claim, I think
that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Knowledge.
Yeah. Knowledge claims are completely different, in my opinion, and I think that bar is very, very difficult to meet. I'm not saying it's impossible, but here's the thing. Look at. Let's say you say you believe in God. Okay, fine. Epistemically, you can justify that. It's completely rational. If you say you know God exists, I would want to see your justificatory reasons for it. And I might actually say, you know what? Given enough justificatory reasons, you are rational to say that you know that God exists. However, you still could be wrong about that, right? And in that case, the knowledge isn't wrong, because knowledge cannot be wrong. Knowledge always has to be true. But your belief that you had knowledge was incorrect. But just because I think you have enough reason to think to say that you know God exists doesn't mean that you actually do. It doesn't mean that I think that it's actually true.
Well, would you hold to knowledge as justified true belief for like 100%?
No, I'm a reliabilist.
Could you? Well, what is that again?
Reliable true belief, reliably produced true belief. It's very similar to our JDB. JTP has a tripartite conditions. One, P has to be true, right? The proposition has to be true. The subject has to believe P, or S believes P, and it has to be justified, right? But the Getty Air problems kind of screwed all those up because what would it mean to be justified in some cases? Did you actually have knowledge if you weren't justified to actually hold that position?
So I'm curious, Steve. I know that for you, as far as
can I finish my answer to him first, Dave?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. So reliably produce true belief. It means that it's not a justificatory thing. What it is you can claim knowledge if the method you use is a reliable method that produces knowledge. Okay, just like the reliability of our senses, right? People say, well, your senses can be wrong. Yeah, so what? They're still reliable. Every day you get out of you get out of bed in the morning, you put your feet on the floor, you sense that the gravity's there, you sense that if your feet are going to touch the floor or something, you rely on that, right? Now, they could be wrong. There could be no floor the next day, right? Or you can have optical illusions or whatever. Yes, but overwhelmingly we do rely on our senses because they are reliably giving us information. Doesn't mean they're perfect though. There's a difference, and that's where preceptors come in. They're like, oh well, you rely on the reliability of senses, but how do you trust your senses? They could be wrong. Well, yeah, so what?
On all that, David, after you go, I've got a question for Steve on that topic.
Yeah. So what I was going to ask is you don't consider yourself an evolution agnostic, right? Like you accept that evolution happened because we have sufficient evidence.
Right,
right?
Of course. Yeah. If you have the proposition evolution is true, right, or evolution happens, then yes, that's a true proposition. Absolutely.
Right. So at what point of understanding in like sociology, psychology, genetics, etc., to the point where we can sort of map out the reasons why religion would develop absent its need for being true, etc., and kind of predict everything accurately, does it become the same sort of evidence that we have for evolution for you to say, oh, okay,
because religion and God belief are two different things. Religion is a practice. Yes.
I was gonna say fuck. I think Dave really hit a nerve there. Who's that guy who raped an SJW on live news and then said a whole bunch of retarded shit afterward? Was it Peterson? Jordan Peterson.
Jordan
right?
Peterson, yeah. What about him?
Yeah. He had a debate with Matt Dillahunty, and when I call myself a Catholic, mind you, I've only ever read the cliff notes of that debate, but it pretty much summated my beliefs around religion. That it is something actually evolutionary. That we have a biological imperative, no different to, for example, my dog, in finding a pack leader. We don't have sufficient neural biology to negotiate a world in which there is a defined hierarchical structure. For example, most tribes and I know that some asshole who knows anthropology in the comments section is going to stick a fucking cactus up my ass for saying this, because I'm going off sociology books I read that were published at the turn of the 20th century. But most tribes are around 30 people, and they seem to have a maximum capacity around 200. And
you're talking about Dunbar's number, aren't you?
No, I'm talking
Dunbar's
about
number
Fraser.
is how many friends you can have.
No, specifically Fraser. I binge read Fraser throughout my third year of university. He did a lot of work with Australian Aborigines, so perhaps it wasn't something that was particularly relevant to all of you. But
I thought it was the case that people had thought that 150, which is Dunbar's number, was roughly the max number of tribe members at a certain point before people would start leaving the tribe.
It's more importantly how many stable friendship connections you can have in the tribe.
Okay, then perhaps I'm conflating popular science I've read on.
No. I mean, you're not far off from what I've read as well. Look, I think there is evolutionary reasons why people have religious.
I honestly think.
Sure.
Let me just finish this thought. So, I'm a pantheist, so to speak, in more of that Einsteinian way, and I go to church. Yeah, I go to church, and I'm a Catholic for a sense of community, the sense of the fact that I'm an Arab. I'm an Arab that has ancestry that managed to retain a religion that wasn't Islam for 1,500 fucking years. So for me, it's part of my ancestry and just part of the way I see humanity. We create an idea of what is perfection, the unobtainable, and the reason it has evolved into the current monotheistic pattern is fucking hell. I'm drunk and I'm going off on a tangent. But the idea is that it's an untouchable. It's a faceless, unknown, blank fucking canvas we can all cast our mind onto and say, this is my God. And even though you'll all use the same words, every fucking Catholic has their own God. It's a fucking picture in their head of what they see as the perfect, loving fucking leader.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I do believe there are religious reasons. There's evolutionary and social evolution, and I think that does lead in for the human race to tend to probably have subtypes of religious beliefs, and we do have a part of the mind that experiences things that are very similar to what people describe for religious
yeah, I mean,
things. But here's the thing. All theists would have to do is say, well, yeah, the reason we have that is because God made it that way, right? I mean, you can never, you can't. What do you use as an experiment to decide the difference between what we'd expect to see by evolutionary means,
but when we
by an actual deity?
hear religious people say, "Yeah, but Satan hid the dinosaur bones,"
what the fuck does that got to do with anything? That's a stupid.
Stop listening to that, right?
But but that's just stupid. That's not. We're not talking about that level of fuckery.
No. That was actually the tangent of my idea.
Yeah.
So we got to keep in mind, reading Fraser.
Said I hit a nerve, and I was curious what nerve I hit.
It wasn't a personal nerve. It was like, oh my God, you're hitting the nail of the points I want to narrow down to.
Okay.
All of these conversations we have are predicated, and I hate that word now, thanks to Part-Time Vegan, but they're predicated on the assumption
Better than Occam's razor.
that every time I hear his voice, I swear, like I would rather fucking burn an orphanage down with all staff and children inside than hurt an animal. I'm an animal lover. But I fucking sometimes want to strangle a kitten when I hear him talk. He's that fucking retarded.
Occam's razor.
No. That's
Votan.
That's nasal fuckwit.
Yeah,
Yeah, nasal fuckwit. Yeah. Votan. Anyway, we seem to assume that people are as have a backing in logic. Like fuck, for the first 2 years of my fucking career, I wrote script like logic. If not, else if. Like, we all fucking understand if not, else if. But the brain isn't made for that shit. Like, you look at, for example, in the mid-1800s, you know what the treatment was for tetanus? I'm sorry, preventative medicine for tetanus? If you cut yourself with a scythe while fucking hoeing down your grain, you wash the blade. And somehow in that logic, by washing the blade after cutting yourself, you wouldn't get lockjaw. Aboriginals in Central Australia were of the belief that getting pregnant wasn't from sticking your dick in a woman. It was from walking in particular sacred ground. Literally.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that we historically have had some pretty bizarre beliefs, right? I mean, obviously the whole narrative.
But I guess, like, where do you draw the line of the evidence, right? Like,
that's up to the individual.
Point? What?
That's up to the individual.
Not necessarily. I'm just saying that.
No, I mean, for somebody.
I mean, why did you? I mean, you have a theist. Ask them what the line is. I mean,
okay. So for you as an agnostic who's like leaning on the I don't know.
Well, hang on. Every soft atheist you know out there has the same exact position that I do. Why don't you ask them? Because I'm more curious about why they're soft atheists rather than being hard atheist. Because they're in the exact same position I'm in. I mean, do you believe gods don't exist?
I do.
Okay, so you're a hard atheist, right? You're a positive atheist. You're a philosophical proposition atheist.
I can maybe concede to some sort of a Spinozian God if you want to define it that way, but I don't necessarily think that's. I feel like that's a different category.
Okay, but if the proposition is at least one God exists, is that proposition true or false?
I would say it's false.
Okay, then you're a hard atheist. And you'd have to then at that point you'd have just as much of a claim.
Also,
Well, hang on, you have just as much of
it
a.
also highly depends on what we're defining as God in that context. Like
Now you're an ichtheist.
If somebody,
Now you just changed everything. Now you just went from false. But wait, let me change this because it depends what you mean by God. No, the proposition is what I gave it to be. So you either so you said false. So you're a hard atheist. So you have the same epistemic burden that a theist has. Do you not?
So what I was saying is the difference that I was pointing at is if somebody's going to make the argument that gods exist in the mind or they're part of nature in some way, that sort of thing, or a Spinozian argument, I can accept that in a psychological framework, but I don't see any evidence of a supernatural and zero reason to believe in it.
Okay, supernatural and God are not the same thing. The proposition isn't do you believe in supernatural things. The proposition is do you believe in God. Now, God is a subset by most people's standards of supernaturalism, right?
Well, so I don't believe in any supernatural gods.
Okay, but again, then you have the same epistemic duty that you yourself that a theist has. So you have to justify your belief of that. Would you agree?
No, because they have more to account for. So I don't think it's the same level.
No, I didn't say they're the same level. I think a theist has a higher epistemic burden in some ways.
Yeah, because you're making a lot of positive claims to support.
But you're making a positive claim too. You're making a positive claim that gods don't exist. That's a positive claim, Dave.
So what I mean by that, there's a bigger burden in a certain sense. For certain people, if you just have somebody who's kind of the wishy-washy, I'm spiritual, there's something out there, then maybe it's about the same level of burden. But as soon as you have somebody who comes along and they have their God based on a religious framework that's making certain claims of miracles.
What do you think his burden is?
Like, as soon as you start stacking those up and those things start proving to be untrue or unfalsifiable at all, you have more things to prove.
But I'm not understanding you because one, beliefs don't have to have a falsification criteria. Let's say JMD, he has a belief that God exists, and he justifies it because he'll talk about things that have had personal experience.
I'm not saying you have to justify a belief, but
you do have to justify a belief. That's what makes a belief rational. You don't have to, but
I would say that God beliefs are irrational because I don't think that they're justifiable.
Well, then you'd be absolutely wrong. I mean, that's as incredibly arrogantly, in my opinion, imbecilic to say as somebody saying that they have a mental disorder, dude. Because look, you're literally saying that anybody who has a theistic belief is irrational, and yet to qualify for rationality, they only have to provide an epistemic justification to themselves. And I can tell you right now, I know JMD can because he's bright, he's smart. It's not that hard for a theist to do it. I don't think. But
I'm not trying to say that. So I perhaps misspoke. I'm not trying to say that all people who believe in a god or believe in a religion are necessarily irrational themselves, right? Because people rationalize. People are very good at rationalizing things, finding patterns in things, justifying things. I mean, it's a pretty human thing to do, and we kind of understand that in psychology and whatnot as well, right? And there's lots of things to point to why people do these things and what sort of pressures you sort of force those to happen. But if you look at the whole of religion and you say, okay, you have a whole bunch of people making positive claims, most of them, it's kind of like one might be true, but they can't all be true. And if they're all equally absurd for the most part, they're making equally grandiose claims.
To you, but you don't get to decide what what any theist's rationality is for why they particularly believe something. They can have a full accounting for why they believe something, and it might be perfectly rational, which means they have a justified belief.
Oh, I didn't say people can't justify a belief.
Then
I mean, I guess what I'm saying, it's the same as you said. Like, you can believe something and believe you have knowledge, but the knowledge may not be accurate. I don't see any reason to think that anybody claiming a religion belief is doing so based on knowledge, because it's something we can't have knowledge of.
Well, I mean, again, I think that's a very high epistemic bar to make for the knowledge claims, but beliefs, not so much. But I mean, we all want to have beliefs that are true. We all want to have rational beliefs. But an atheist who says there are no gods still has an epistemic duty.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so when you're asking me about my agnosticism, this is not most, but a lot of atheists don't believe there are gods, but they won't say that they believe there are no gods, right? Would you agree on that?
Oh, I don't say, okay. Most won't. And so there's no way, I can't say that there is, I can't say that there's proof that there is no God.
I didn't mention the word proof, David.
Can be made that there isn't.
David, it has nothing to do with proof. Listen to me carefully. There are atheists out there that say they believe gods don't exist. You're one of them. That is a philosophical atheist. You agree upon that, right? And I don't want to get into the whole definition of gods because Shadow's mentioned to me about ichtheism. I only think that people default to ichtheism when you start going into things like, well, what do you mean by God? Now, that does not necessarily mean by questioning what do you mean by God, does it have to fall into ichtheism? No. But I do find a lot of people retreat to ichtheism when they get into the propositional thing of what God is. People have been talking about gods for 2,000 years.
Ichtheism?
Ichtheism is also known as agnosticism, which means that the concept of the word God is meaningless. There's no meaning to that particular word. It's like some made-up word that, well, they're all made up, but it has no something attached to it that actually corresponds to anything, right? So I can say like widget waffle waffle work. Do they exist? Well, what the hell are they?
So practically, would that fall in line with what I offered earlier as a concept of God? Just a personal idea of perfection.
No, I'm okay with the Spinoza's version of God. That's just
and I'm fine with that too.
That's just a pantheistic thing. That's not a autonomous being. That's not a something we anthropomorphize. That's not a sentient, conscious being. Now it could be with a Boltzmann brain, but that's a whole different ballgame. But okay, so here's the thing. Look at, but Dave, you do agree that there's a lot of atheists out there. There's a lot of them community that don't say they believe God does not exist. They just say I don't believe the theist, right? They're not making the claim. They're not making the claim God doesn't exist. They're just saying I don't believe the theist, right? You agree?
So what I'm saying,
I've asked you a question.
There's a lot of people that do say what you're.
I've asked you the question first.
Yeah, and I agree. Okay. I agree with that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying personally is I understand that you can't you can make the claim gods do not exist, and that you have a certain degree of burden of proof if you're stating it in the positive. Now, I think personally that the evidence in psychology and other things so better explain the proposition that it's tantamount to it has no relevance to exist, so it probably doesn't.
Then you've justified your belief. Right, I think your belief that God, I think you're perfectly justified to believe that gods don't exist. Right, you've justified it. That's fine. But your justification has nothing to do with his or any other theist. But here's the reason why I asked you about those groups of people that just don't believe in God, and that don't assert there's a God. Those soft atheists. That's what I am, dude. As far as logically speaking, there's epistemic differences, but I'm exactly the logical position as one of them. The only difference is I subscribe to agnosticism. Because two reasons. One, that is the correct philosophical terminology. And two, epistemically, it's slightly different. But other than that, the logical position is exactly the same. So,
I agree.
So why, instead of trying to I'm not saying that you're doing this, but why don't you? I don't see a lot of hard atheists going out and trying to convert the soft atheist to hard atheist. They always seem to want to convert the atheist, or the theist, or the agnostic. They want to convert the agnostic to atheist. And they want to convert the theist to atheist, but why don't they go try to convert the soft atheist to actual philosophical atheism? I'm kind of curious.
I don't know, but it's not necessarily just philosophical. I find that if you're just going on a philosophical argument for hard atheism, I think that the philosophical argument's rather weak. I think that the evidential argument's what's stronger. And the only time that can fall down, and where I will sort of concede, is if somebody comes along and says, is it possible that all the evidence appears this way because something said it that way? I mean, is it possible? Yeah, the possibility is infinitesimally there. We have no way to prove otherwise.
Well, possibility isn't really a great argument. Just because something's possible.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but that's not. I don't think theists. I've never met a theist that says, "Oh, the reason I believe in God is just because it's possible." That's a bad justificatory reason.
No, that's usually not the only reason, but they'll usually start there. Well, like,
Really?
we hear certain presuppositional and a
Oh, then I'll wreck them because that's just stupid.
genre relies on this and that and whatever.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
it's
blah.
possible I can have unicorns fly out of my ass any second.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean that
it's
I believe that's
possible that
gonna
all the
happen.
evidence points that way because God made it that way, right? Like that. Like, there's no argument to that argument. Like, if you're being intellectually honest with the degree of knowledge that we seem to have access to, the only thing you can say is, sure, yeah, I guess it's somewhere maybe possible.
But
it's so unlikely that you can pretty much say it's not.
But I don't think it has to do with possibilities.
There's a leprechaun in Ireland or something. Maybe I don't know.
But if you take the average theist, like for example, like Sygart the other day, I was talking about the reasons why he's theist. He has personal experience that he has had, enough personal experience for him that he believes warrants the belief in God. Now, who are you to say that's wrong? How do you know his justification isn't sound?
I don't know which evidence he's examined.
Exactly.
So I can't make I can't make that claim on a personal level.
You can't make it ubiquitously either. You can't just say that, you know what, it's just a rational belief in God. That's just, it's not how it works.
I'm not saying I think that the actual idea of believing it, not just in a specific God, like when you're getting into these specifics, it's one thing. But I think if you look at religion as, okay, what is religion as its own little organism? Right? You pull the magnifying glass away, stop looking at the individual,
You got to separate religion from God, dude. They're two different things.
How does this develop? Like, what is this phenomenon within society, so to speak, and what characteristics does it have? And what's likely to have been the cause for that? How does it move around? Like, how is it justified? Where's the psychology, the sociology, all these sorts of things? When you look at it from the faraway position, it has a clear image of what it is. In the same way you look far away from the earth, you can see that it's fucking round, right? Like, but when you're sucked into some kind of a belief structure, it doesn't make that rational. It just means you're stuck in an irrational thought.
Okay, so if you're a child and your whole family,
I'm sure there's flat earthers that rationalize the
if your whole family believes X is true, and this goes back to I think Macabre was talking about, or somebody was talking about how it's an appeal to popularity in some ways. If your whole family is a particular religion and they've from your birth you've only experienced this particular religion, you are rational to believe that particular religion because that is your experience. You've been indoctrinated in
that religion doesn't have to be rational itself.
But that's you're trained. But that's two different things.
Different thing.
You can have an irrational religion, but you can still have a rational belief about the religion. There's just two different things. But I think people make a major mistake when they sit there and try to.
I'm not saying that the believer is irrational. I'm saying that the belief itself is irrational. Like religion itself is irrational.
I think it makes a very, very bad mistake when people start trying to diminish religion or especially the belief in God by relating it to irrationality. I think that doesn't help the atheist. I think it makes atheists look very, very silly. And I think it's just as bad an argument as saying that, oh, well, theism is a delusion or a mental disorder. It's not a good argument, dude. It's just, to me, it is not a good argument. And again, people are pointing out that, oh, well, I'm just saying that I don't believe you. Again, I'm telling this to any theist out there. If you're a theist and you say, I believe God does not exist, and let me tell you, I believe God exists, let me tell you why, and a person just says, well, I don't believe you, and they don't offer any reason or any kind of justification, or worse, they don't want to tell you their own beliefs. Just say, okay, whatever, fuck off, bye bye. Who the hell cares?
At that point, it's not worth having that conversation.
Right, exactly.
I agree with.
But I think that's the narrative that a lot of atheists are trying to put forth is that, oh well, my atheist.
It's not the narrative I'm trying to.
Can I finish before I get interrupted? When an atheist says, I don't believe you, I think that's the weakest form of argumentation in the world. And I've never liked it. I've always thought that it was stupid. I made it very clear years ago that was my position. And I get a lot of flack for it, but I haven't changed on that because I think it's a very dumb way to argue things. If somebody says, I don't believe you, I'll be like, okay, you don't believe me. So the fuck what? Move the fuck on. Who the fuck are you? It doesn't bother me that they don't believe me if I tell them something that I know is true or believe is true. Right? So an atheist would be the same way. If a theist believes something that strongly, and I came up to them and said, hey, JMD, I don't believe you, I think JMD should just walk away and go, okay, so what? The worst part is at that point, you haven't helped them get to any kind of true beliefs. And I'm not saying that may not have some false ones, but let's say it's like creationist. If JMD is I know he's not a creationist, but let's say he was. And by the way, JMD, I'm sorry, you're the only theist in the room, so that's why I was.
Well, it depends on how you define creationist. Obviously, I'm not a younger.
You're not younger. When I say creationist, I strictly mean younger creationist. Yeah. Not that God created everything. That's a different type of creationism. But if you said, hey, I believe the Earth is 7,000 years old, and I said, hey, JMD, you know what? So I don't believe you. At that point, so what? You walk away. Did you learn anything? But if I say, hey, JMD, I not only don't believe you, but I believe you're wrong. I'm going to accept that burden of justification. I'm going to accept the fact that I will make my epistemic duty, or to take on my epistemic duty to show you why creation is wrong, and I will spend my time doing that. At that point, that may lead that person out of creationism. So just saying you don't believe them doesn't help a theist at all.
So let me ask you this: do you consider it irrational when somebody, when I mentioned evolution earlier, right? And you get these people who like Satan buried the dinosaur bones. I mean, they've rationalized that, obviously, if they believe that. But would you consider that a rational belief?
No.
Okay.
Because you have proof against it.
Because there's overwhelming evidence against it.
So let's say something that's somewhat less controversial amongst Christians, because not a lot of Christians that believe that Satan buried dinosaur bones, right?
No. Well, they used to. Well, back in my day, there was quite a few that I thought that Satan had done it. That was a chick tract.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm sure that there's.
But they look like idiots, and they got away from that.
Yeah. So global flood, right?
Yeah.
We both agree that there's enough.
I don't think it's a rational position. No.
Okay.
But they might.
Now, so yeah, they might. But when you look at the evidence, when you step back and you're like, okay, we can see the evidence. This is just like evolution. There's lots of evidence that this global flood thing could not have been true, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be that all of the individual claims within Christianity, or at least a large majority of them, whether it's like the effectiveness of prayer, the fact that there was a global flood, people who say that the Earth was the young Earth.
Well, creation. Yeah. But what's your point? I'm not. I don't hold to those positions. So
Right. What I'm saying is, when you look at that from the broader perspective, at some point when all of the beliefs that justify the belief, like the sub-beliefs, when those are provably wrong.
I don't think that's the reasons why they hold their beliefs. I think most theists, when I was a theist, the reason I held them was purely individual experience, just personal, subjective experience. It had nothing to do with the Bible, had nothing to do with what I read, had nothing to do with believing a story, or absolutely nothing.
So you had a personal experience.
But
whatever that experience was, I would say would have been.
I'm sorry, David, I just want to interrupt one sentence only. Steve,
go ahead.
That would make you the exception. I just want to say that.
It's possible. I mean, I think that a lot of, well, I mean, Sly Guy was talking about this the other day. I mean, he's talking about from personal experience as well. Now the argument can be made, well, if you accept one personal experience, you have to accept other people's experices when they come to a different conclusion.
No.
But that's a different
the other
argument.
side of the argument.
Right.
No. In terms of evidence and how to substantiate a claim,
mm-hmm.
your approach to that is quite unique. I would say the average everyday Joe. Same reason.
Well, I've had a lot of thought on this.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
this is not a new thing for me, obviously.
I didn't mean to derail David.
No,
David,
cool.
please keep on going, dude.
I've seen many more people who would say that their evidence for what they believe in is the Bible because the Bible's proof, and they
I don't think that's a good argument.
No, it's not a good argument, but that's what I mean when I say when you and there's exceptions, right? It's sometimes you paint with too broad a brush. But when I say that I would consider, there are no gods to anything that I've ever been described, right? So I've never heard somebody propose something that I thought was plausible and likely, right?
Okay.
Enough to believe it.
Sure.
So I would say, so far as my knowledge is aware, there are no gods. I can make that claim until something comes along. Will I have to shift my claim at that point? Sure.
Okay, but nobody's arguing. But who's arguing against you on that? I mean, you're perfectly fine to do that.
Yeah, no, I know, and I'm saying they're fine to do that too. I would still consider
But how does that differ from my position that much? The only difference between your position and my position is that I don't go so far to say that I believe there are no gods. That's the only difference.
What I'm saying is for the majority of people, I would say that if you're basing your justification for a belief, even if you're justifying it, because I think there's a difference between being rational and rationalizing, right? Like,
Yes.
So there's lots of people who rationalize their religious beliefs because they were told it was true, so it has to be true, or because the Bible, like there's a circular logic. I don't necessarily think those people are being rational. They are rationalizing, right? They're coming up with an explanation. They're not actually thinking it through. And I would say that's true of probably a good majority of religious people. Now, are there exceptions to that? Are there people who are very smart who have rationally come up with some way of justifying their belief? Sure.
Yeah, well, a lot of great scientists believed in God, and they were not irrational. They came to their conclusions by personal experience, right? So I mean, again, I don't know why we're continuing this line of questioning, though. It's just not going anywhere, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
You know, I mean, it's kind of like beating a dead horse. Yeah, you're perfectly justified to believe that there are no gods, and a theist is perfectly justified to believe that there are gods. Again, these are beliefs, not knowledge claims. But as myself, as an agnostic, I'm in the same logical boat as any other soft atheist. It's just that epistemically it's different. So that's why I don't identify as an atheist, because philosophically I'm not, right? But I still don't have a belief in God. I still think a lot of the arguments are bad, but I think a lot of arguments for atheism are bad too. So does serious.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, there's a ton that are bad.
But there's some good ones too, but people don't use the good ones very often.
That's true.
I think one of the strongest evidence is the evidential problem of evil. But how often do you hear people use it?
Yeah, I mean that's certainly a good evidence against sort of the all good, all knowing sort of God.
Well, no, that's the logical problem of evil. I'm talking about the evidential.
Oh, okay.
The logical problem of evil is much more limited in scope, but it's more potent. It's a stronger argument, and basically that's saying that you can't have a God with all the omni properties be a logically consistent system, because all the properties cannot be true at the same time. All the propositions cannot be true at the same time. That is an inconsistent logical system. So that type of deity just logically cannot exist, and yet that's okay, because theists don't posit that type of deity very often. Matter of fact, most of them avoid that for that very reason, because they know the logical problem of evil is a very good argument against that one type of God. So they've got to change that type of position. And but you still have the.
I mean, I think this is why that argument isn't used very often, because oftentimes the dodge is simply, oh well.
Right, but they still have the evidence.
God limitations sufficient that they are maximally powerful, but
the evidential problem of evil is not as strong. Not as narrow in scope. It's very broad. It applies to any deity pretty much. But it's very powerful in the fact that why are there natural evils? Why is there one more evil in the world than less than evil? What is it about God's plan of any type of God made it so that this possible world, this ontological modal reality, was the one that he picked, that it had just enough evil in it to serve his purpose, when one less evil would have probably sufficed? Why this particular world? That, to me, is a very, very powerful argument, because it goes beyond just the evidential problem of evil. It goes to the argument from contingency too. Why did he create this possible world as opposed to any other? Was it because of a necessity? Was it because he was compelled to, which means that something's more powerful than God? These are good questions against a deity, not can God make a rock so heavy you can't lift it? That's like stupid.
Oh, those are like so tired. Yeah. Those arguments.
But James, you've been waiting to get in. I'm sorry. You're the only thing that's in the room, so I'm kind of should be apologizing to you if you want to. I'm not trying to speak about you, but I just use an example.
Well, if you define atheism as just a lack of belief, I find it odd that you then define a strong lack of belief and a soft lack of belief.
That's not what it means. No. A strong atheist is not a strong lack of belief. A strong atheist.
Well, I agree with you.
I've never heard anybody define it that way.
As a lack of belief?
No, I've never heard anybody say strong or weak lack of belief.
No. I'm saying if you mainly stick to atheism, the definition, it has to be a lack of belief then. defining it in degrees of certainty or argumentation. Would
Oh, I would never do that. That's why I don't use that argument.
I think that
defining it in a lack of belief is so fucking stupid in my opinion. I've been fighting that for years. I've been trying to explain to atheists stop doing that, but they basically put me to the side out to pasture on that argument. But whatever. I think it's so wrong.
Yeah, soft atheists would be, I'm not convinced. I think, and then hard atheists would be proposition God does not exist.
Right.
Or God.
Right. That's what it means in philosophy. Right. Unless you're Richard Dawkins.
I would consider a soft atheist somebody who just says, I don't believe in God because there's no evidence.
It doesn't matter. You don't throw in the because. Because doesn't matter. Soft atheist would just be
for the soft. No, hold on. For soft atheism, it's the.
Why do you need a because? Why do you need
evidence to support it? So I don't believe.
Why do you need that modifier?
Because I'm defining the difference between the soft and the hard. The hard atheism is more, I don't believe there is a God, and I think that there is at least some degree of evidence to support that claim as a positive claim.
So you're saying that a hard atheist is somebody who doesn't hold a belief?
No, I'm saying a hard atheist is making a positive claim that there are no gods, and that they probably think that there is some sort of evidence to support that.
Okay.
But
why? I don't understand why you have to have that modifier for soft atheism. Look at, I don't believe there are gods, but it's not because of lack of evidence. So I wouldn't be a soft atheist according to your definition. That modifier doesn't make sense to me. Because first of all, like I said, I'm a non-evidentialist. Evidence doesn't really matter to me when it comes to philosophical claims. That's a scientific thing. Scientifically, I'm an evidentialist. Right? Absolutely. When you have a scientific claim, you need fucking evidence. But philosophy, it doesn't work that way. Philosophy is a completely different game when you're talking about evidence versus other types of justificatory things like I said, pragmatism or potentialism.
Evidence can back up premises, like scientific facts can back up a premise to be true or not.
Well, yeah, but I use the word evidence very specifically because again, evidence to me is what changes the likelihood of hypothesis.
If we're getting into the specific philosophical definitions and everything, you're correct. I'm just not thinking on that exact level. I was being more colloquial.
But but I was just say that all these terms, no matter what ones you pick, these all deal with philosophy. That's the funniest thing when people say I hate philosophy, but I'm an atheist. Well, then you're dealing with philosophy. Sorry, you can't get around that.
Yeah, it's kind of intertwined.
Yeah,
it's an unavoidable thing.
That's like saying that I love astrophysics, but I hate science. Okay, it's.
Well, I mean, if you don't love knowledge or want to know the truth, then I guess you would hate philosophy because that's what philosophy is.
You can't even have knowledge without philosophy.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I had like an hour and a long discussion the other day with truth. And they're like, well, truth has to do with science, blah, blah. I'm like, no, truth is actually a philosophical term. So philosophy determines what is true, not science.
Science is a methodology, and philosophy deals with epistemology.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, exactly right. Science is much more of a methodological approach to things. It's not prescriptive.
Sorry, I would disagree. I think science is an intersectional point between ontology and epistemology.
To some degree, sure. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Simple fact that, for example, if you want to conduct an evaluation for traumatic brain injury, you're going to ask people a series of questions and then evaluate how they linguistically or physically manipulate certain things, and then you interpret that via a construct that's statistically derived. I mean, therefore, you have to justify that this particular affectation of neurological trauma is present in this particular behavior, and I can justify that via a statistical fucking test.
Right, but the whole thing, my point, and I do agree that science does a lot more with the actual ontology of things. But here's the thing. When we're talking about if we know something to be true in science, right? Knowledge is not science. Knowledge is philosophy. So what does it mean to say that I know that the general theory of relativity works? It makes predictions. What does it mean to know that? That's where philosophy comes in. Science doesn't tell us what it means to know something. That's my point. So you're right. Yeah, there is a bridge there between epistemology and ontology, but science itself doesn't deal with the epistemology of how we know something, right? That's where philosophy comes in. That's how we actually know, by formulating a theory of knowledge. By the way, there's a There's people in the live chat that have been trying to ask me questions, and I think you guys all too. So you want to like in them for a while because I got to end this probably in about 20 minutes at most.
Yeah, go for it.
So
that's okay, dude. I'm about to pass out. I've literally I rocked up at work. Fuck. After working a solid week, I think I got there on Saturday morning. I only got home a few hours ago.
all right, well, thank you, buddy. Always a pleasure when you drop in. You know I like having you around. You don't come around too often, so and a lot of people don't know who the fuck you are, but a lot of people don't know half the people that I bring. It's weird. We have a big community, but I hate to say it, but I know like 1,000 fucking people, right? And so every often I'll bring in people to hang out that nobody's ever even met, and yet I don't even think twice about it because I've known them for so long. But I don't realize that everybody else doesn't know everybody else because it's a big fucking community.
Yeah. And by the way, dude, look, it's just I know that we don't have to air the fucking the laundry, but thank you for at least tolerating my my harsh words against PZ Myers. That was literally a decade of pent up fucking anger.
I read it, but you know what? I didn't delete the comments, but I didn't say anything on the comments. I thought that was I let that dog lie. Okay.
Decade of pent up anger. It just fucking came out.
Yeah, I know. I wrote. I read my comments. It takes me a long time, but I do read all my comments. So if you post something, I probably will have read it. Facebook is the worst way to reach me. Stop trying to reach me on Facebook. I won't get half your messages.
I don't.
Not
do
you.
the Facebook.
No, not you, but people in general.
Well, that would apply to me then.
Yeah, my Facebook doesn't. It doesn't update. I'll get messages 4 days later. It's shit. And I don't know what it is, but I even put it in my Facebook, stop using Facebook to contact me because I won't even probably acknowledge you half the time. But if you send me an email or G Plus or Twitter, 90% of the time get back with you in an hour or two. So, but anyways, McCall, thank you, buddy.
That's cool, dude. It's like, normally you give my stuff on the GDC a +1. After my little conversation with PZ, I noticed that disappeared for about 2 weeks, and I'm like,
no, that
Steve's
had nothing to do
pissed
with
off
it.
at me.
No, not at all.
He was definitely pissed off.
No, I wasn't. If I was, I would have said something. But no, PZ's a big boy. I don't agree with PZ on a lot of things either.
He's a piss pants little bitch.
It's funny because I have people like PZ and a few other people tell me, hey, you know what, you shouldn't have these people on, and then other people say you shouldn't have PZ on. It's a double-edged sword,
I would never say don't have PZ on. I think I told you a couple of years ago when you mentioned he was an acquaintance of yours. I said, dude, assholes like that are toxic, but I never at any stage said don't invite him. I said he's fucking toxic.
No, I get that, but look at it's like I'm friends with Richard Carrier too, and they're at war with each other, right? I mean, they're huge in battle. Oh, they have lawsuits flying with each other, dude. But I told both of them
because.
But I'm like, I told them I can't. I'm not going to get involved with it, right? I'm like, I'm not. And when they come on, especially when Richard comes on, we've never mentioned any of that because I'm just not stepping my foot in that arena. Sorry.
That is a bitch boy Sorry. Now I'm actually slurring. I'm that drunk. Fuck.
Yeah.
That is a bitch boy slap fight. Sorry, that is the definition of bitch boy slap fight. Gotta get that shit in the ring.
It's brutal.
PZ popped into the outside chat during one of the debate roulettes. He was there for like 5 seconds. I don't remember what the topic was, but he instantly went, I'm not going to sit around here and listen to a channel that entertains the idea of debating such and such a topic.
Yeah.
This is a topic.
But that's when you say, okay, cool, have a good one, PZ. I mean, I've never
he stormed off.
He stormed off, but I've never had an issue with him personally. But you know what? Some things you want to watch, some things you don't.
No, I do have an issue just for the fact that like, dude, I'm an opinionated cunt, and I make it a point in my real life to be an opinionated cunt just because fuck. That's what I feel is the spice of my life. If I can get a raise out of someone, if I can get something emotive from them, I can have an interaction that means shit to me.
Yeah.
So I'll sometimes just stir shit, not for entertainment, but so much that people are so fucking politically correct these days that getting something emotional out of them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Is worth the fucking investment.
No, you do you, man. Somebody just said, could I pass the sobriety? Dude, I've had that much. What is that? That's not even a shot?
Oh, man. I drank half the bottle of my whiskey.
Do you think that's... okay, I don't drink that much. Do you think that I could get drunk off that little much that I've had so far? Because, I mean, it actually started, like, right here. So I've only been sipping it, for Pete's sake.
I had half of this left.
That's not even
and
one
polished
beer that I've
off,
had.
and now I'm working my way into this one.
Yeah,
I am fucked.
No, I told you I can't. My stomach can't take hard alcohol very much. People know me, know that I have a lot of issues. But yeah, so I drink very slowly, so that lasts me freaking forever in a day, unless I'm in a really, really bad. If you see me get drunk, you know I've had a bad week. Okay, because I'll pay for it for the next couple of days, being sick and dying. So that's why I haven't really drank in ages.
But either way, it's just to end my thought. What I was going to say was I'm always up for conflict because I feel that the most productive conversations come directly out of conflict, which is why I fucking detest PZ Myers, because instead of actually discussing ideas and trying to work out which one is correct or which one has more pros versus cons,
he wants to shut things down.
Yeah,
I know, and I agree with you on that. I don't agree with the PC on that approach either. Trust me.
And like I said, 61 years old and still an associate professor.
I'm not gonna.
Mediocrity.
I'm not gonna go there.
I mean, he would stink like shit.
Well, he's still a friend and he's still a PhD, and I have a lot of respect for his biological knowledge. It's just I don't like the Atheism Plus, which he got out of. He did recognize, I think, that Atheism Plus was probably not a good idea, which I said from the beginning. But
no.
Atheism Plus was a
horrible idea. Yeah.
I guess my comments alluded directly to that.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on that. Atheism Plus sucked.
Like he's a group of free-thinking people who want to stand up and say education should be educational, and then PZ comes in and says our community needs fucking ideological purification.
Yeah,
you're either an SJW or you're not an atheist. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that because I'm not an SJW and I'm not an atheist either, but I'm more toward anti-SJW than I am anything else.
Okay, I'm a Catholic with fucking a tertiary degree in science, and I think if anything is the salvation of humanity, it's fucking education.
Oh, I agree with you there.
So does that mean that you kind of is that like a cultural Catholic then?
Very, very much so. Look, yeah. Religiously, I'm a pantheist.
Okay.
I am a Catholic insofar that, I think that in terms of organized religion, it's the best structure except for the fucking kiddie fiddling.
No, it's the best structure for that too. I mean, if you want to talk about kiddie fiddling structures, they've got it.
We're gonna move on to other things.
No. I mean, okay, evolution is good, fantastic. How many fucking creationists are Catholic? Sweet fuck all.
That's
like,
true.
how do you stop the shit that comes out of all these weird ass denominations that come out of America? Centralized shit. You got a guy in charge, the Pope. Evolution's good, fantastic. Geocentrism is shit, fantastic. It enables religion to progress with science, with society, and with modern fucking moral sensibilities.
Yeah, as long as science can recognize science, or excuse me, as long as religion recognizes scientific advancements, I'm not that much against it. But when it doesn't, then I'm adamantly against it. And I think religion has a lot of problems. But we gotta get to the live chat here, dude. So because I do gotta end this soon. So
I'll shut my drunk mouth. That's all good.
No, good, bro. So if you had questions, ask them now because I'm not gonna go back and scroll. So as they come up, I'll answer them the best I can. But don't be an idiot. Okay. Can you kick the annoying Brit or Aussie or whatever he is? No, he's my friend.
Who asked that?
He gets paid to be annoying. That's where we hit. I don't know.
Whoever said that, suck a dick and kill yourself.
In that order. or the other order, it doesn't really matter.
You know what? Suck a homeless man's dick, and with that rotten taste in the back of your throat, kill yourself. So that's the last thing you ever taste.
All right, so here we go. So let's have some fun here. Jesus morality. Atheists are too prideful to accept God, and they'll choose hell. Sure, insanity. Well, here's the thing with atheists, and again, I can speak towards either position, atheism or theist. Is the wonderful thing about being agnostic. I can argue either way. Atheists don't believe in hell, so there's no argumentium ad baculum to actually argue from that position. Actually, it's a very weak position to argue from, saying, "Well, you believe that what I'm telling you to believe, or you're going to go to hell." If I was that position, if I was an atheist and somebody, "Hey, Steve, if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in hell, you're going to end up going to hell," I tell you to fuck right off. Because I don't believe in there's a hell, and I certainly don't believe in a God that you believe in that's going to send people for an eternal torment. That kind of God, I don't believe in at all. I believe that God does not exist. I don't think that particular God, because that particular God in the Bible has issues, right? There are many issues in that type of deity, and I believe that deity is a logical fallacy. I don't think that it is logically sound to have a deity like that. That would be the omni type of God, right? Because generally the Anselm type God that posits the omnis also posits is going to judge you for eternity. You're going to be sent to eternity in hell. I don't believe in that particular deity. So it's not that you choose one or the other. It's you choose what to believe, and your belief is such that you think that is bullshit. Straight up. So that's like saying to me, "Hey, you know what? Either believe what I'm telling you or suffer eternal damnation." Well, you choose what you believe? Oh, well, you're irrational because you're not choosing what I believe. Therefore, that's just silly. It's the same type of irrational type of argumentation. You don't really go. You don't get anywhere with anybody with that kind of argumentation, right? Does that make sense? To say that, look, believe me or you're going to hell. You can fuck right off because that's not going to convert anybody. That just shows that you have a very weak argument. Okay, next question. France exists whether you believe it or not. So smart, yet you're a fool. Yes, France exists because we've been there. There you go. What does that have to do with God? You're making the assertion that your God exists. That's it. But you can't logically compare your God to France because you know what? We can show France exists. Your God is just a faith-based claim. So what? My left shoe is your salvational God. If you don't believe my left shoe can save you, you're going to hell. You're irrational if you don't believe that my left shoe can save you. And you can see my left shoe. So, yeah. So I think that the people, certain people that argue that way, and I don't know if they're trolling or not, but that's the type of theist that needs to be shunned. That's the type of theist that falls in line with the clown car posse that we're saying bye-bye to. Because they don't bring it to the table. It's nothing of any value just to sit there and say, "Believe me, or you're going to hell." Okay.
Yeah,
I don't.
That's just an incredibly weak argument and insulting too.
Yeah, well, it's because they don't have anything better. Like for example, this person, and I'm guessing they're a Poe. I don't know. I don't think anybody's this dumb. But look, if you don't believe that my left shoe can save you, you're just going to hell. And, that's just silly. So you need to believe that my left shoe can save you. Because you will die one day. And if you die in your sins and you don't ask my left shoe for salvation, you're going to go to hell. There's really no difference in that analogy except that my left shoe you can see. And by the way, my left shoe actually does account for the laws of logic. I convinced Matt Slick of that. Okay, no, I didn't. But I tried. I did try.
Also, it helps that shoes have soles.
There you go. There you go. My shoe has a soul. That's good. God, I wish I would have thought of that. My shoe has a soul. Therefore, proof positive. That's fucking brilliant, dude.
Give that man a medal.
You, sir, have won the internet today.
Your soul also likes to be your shoe also likes to be tied up, though.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it definitely likes to be tied up.
It's a sex positive shoe.
Is my shoe hard or soft, atheist or theist? Oh, Raisin Girl, I did see what you wrote earlier. I didn't scroll back, but Raisin Girl said something along the lines that she loved my channel because she likes the way I interact with people, and I appreciate that, Raisin Girl. I try. It's just late at night, like tonight. I'm starting to lose it. I've been sitting here and I'm very uncomfortable, so I will end this soon. But that's one thing I do like about my channel is that we talk about a bunch of stuff. I do get a chance to maybe explain things in a way that maybe some people don't understand. And that to me is progress. That to me is something that the CCP has never done. Right? I can tell you right now from experience, from the 4 years, I've had my YouTube channel 5 years. Right? I've only been forming the GDC, the Great Debate Community, for maybe about 2 or so. But I've literally had my channel for 5 years. Go look. So I've known of the CCP or many members of them for quite some time. I can tell you right now,
Steve.
nobody's ever learned a damn thing from any of them. They've never
Steve, there's
explained
a
anything.
fucking interesting question. I am
Sure.
so sorry to
Oh,
interrupt.
no, go for it.
Could you please give us your take on Pascal's wager?
Yeah, Pascal's wager. The reason Pascal's wager is not a good argument is because there's a more higher probability that all the other types of beings and deities are out there that you're going to pick the wrong one. And if you actually did it what's called enumeration, if you actually broke the enumeration down and see the different possibilities and breakdowns, the chances of you believing that one God that is going to be the correct one is not good. Matter of fact, it's actually a better average if you don't believe in any of them.
Steve, can I ask you, what do you think Pascal's? Because I think both theists and sometimes atheists straw man it. Because I actually read the Ponces, which Pascal's wager is.
Yeah, they try to reformulate it a little bit, and I don't know the reformulation of it that much, but the original Pascal's wager, it was basically posited that what do you have to lose if you believe in God? You gain everything, but if you don't believe in God, you have the potential to lose it. Lose everything.
Because people say Pascal wagered that if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell.
But the even bigger problem with Pascal's wager, which is not even the reformulated version, it has to do with doxastic involuntarism, right? I cannot will myself to believe something. So my beliefs are not something that I choose. They choose me in some regards. So I cannot sit there and say, you know what? I believe what you're telling me. I believe that this particular God exists by will alone. I don't have the ability to do that. So if God actually does exist and he wants me to believe that, he has to make that happen. I cannot do it myself. So it's not a fair wager if he's asking me to believe something that I don't have the ability to believe. That's not a fair wager at all. Matter of fact, that's actually an unfair wager. That's an unfair game that he's playing.
Well, I mean, I don't use Pascal's wager because
nobody does. Yeah, it's a bad argument.
Yeah. Now, if it were somehow just Christianity and atheist, not God and Maslick, but even though he says not God is like anything that isn't the Christian God.
Yeah, you know why he's wrong too, right?
Oh yeah, I troll his comment section because he's a big Calvinist and he thinks my position of Molinism is a heresy, so I just troll his live stream comment.
I know quite a few Molinists actually.
Yeah,
he's not a big fan of them.
Oh no, neither is James White and all these other Reformed Christian apologist does not like my Molinism at all.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole different topic. But with Pascal's wager, I used to okay, let me see if I could wager it down just as a Christian God, but then you defeat the purpose. If I could do that, which of course I do think I could do that, essentially, but it would depend on what you mean by God and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I would try and make the Christian God more probable defeats the purpose of the original argument. So you're now giving other arguments to add on probability, which
yeah, and that's why they keep on trying to reformulate it and stuff. But here's, like I said, here's the thing: I don't force myself to believe anything, and the kind of, and I hate to use the expression "begs the question" because it's not really what begging the question is, but it does kind of ask for the question to be asked. Why does a God really set it up such that the entire salvation of mankind is contingent and solely constitutive of the sole thing of believing one thing? It doesn't really ring right to me. It doesn't seem to make sense to me that an eternal damnation of pain and for a loving being in God would be the sole things of just having a belief and a belief that you can't even control. It just doesn't rationally make sense to me. And that's why, I mean, I'm slowly moving more toward atheism in some regards, and I've said that before, but only because when you really analyze all these different arguments, they're just, all of them seem to have major flaws to them. And I think that's a very, it doesn't ring true to me.
Well, yeah, that's of course why conversation.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier too. Like when you look at all of that's what leaned me towards saying hard atheism. It, like over time, seeing all these individual arguments and claims just not holding up.
Yeah, but see, and again, when you're dealing with some people that just don't understand these concepts, it gets very annoying. For example, like the troll in the troll, it's like the troll in the live feed, for example. And I love this. I'll let you guys figure this one out. If you say you can't will your belief, that's just emotional and intellectual cowardice. Okay, go will yourself to believe you can fly. Go ahead. Tell me how that works out for you. Go ahead. Let me know when you will yourself to believe you can fly. And if you can't see the analogy there, then you might as well get out of my live feed because you're stupid. Okay, I mean, I have a
Can I
low
add something
threshold
just
for this
really
level of dumb.
also really important?
Yes.
DMG.
Yeah.
Dude, you trying to grow a stash there?
I haven't
Oh,
shaved
man.
in 2 years, so
And
that's the best I can do.
look,
2 years. This is
Yeah.
4
okay,
days.
okay. In that case, I think it's very much appropriate to use the phrase "young blood." Look, young blood. Steve is of the age where a mustache is appropriate.
Yeah. Well, I've had one all my
That shit
life.
ain't on. Look,
Yeah.
it's a pedo stash until you hit about 55.
Yeah, just keep it shaved.
Before then, it's pedo stash. Then it's refined.
Yeah.
Shave that shit.
So Smitty says the worst argument for the existence of God is emotional experience, way worse than Pascal's wager. Oh, I highly disagree, actually, and let me explain why. I'm not saying it's not a good argument to explain to somebody else, right? If you're saying that's the worst argument to convince somebody else, yes, then I agree with you. But for yourself, I think it's actually the best argument. Let me give you an example. I hate using movie references because like a Hovind thing, but like the movie Contact with Sally Fields, right? She experienced something with her alien father, right? That she can't explain to anybody else. She can't prove to anybody else because there was all that erased time. But there's no really way to give evidence to somebody else by which they're going to believe her. Okay, so in that case, it's personal experience is the worst way to convince somebody. But I think personal experience is the best way to convince yourself of something because that's the only thing we do have is a subjective opinion. Now, does that mean that's going to lead to truth? No. Okay, we can get a lot of shit wrong. But I'd rather have somebody who says, look, I've had a lot of experiences. They've led me to the belief that some being is watching out for me or there's something more than that. And then I'm okay with that, right? I have arguments against that as well, right? Because, well, how do you know it's how do you know it's a deity? But
yeah, the interesting, like earlier on, you were saying like certain atheists make this argument that religion is somehow.
Oh, Jodie Foster, not Sally Field. I'm sorry, David. Let me correct that. Yeah.
Right.
My bad. Thank you for correcting me on that.
What?
Oh, Doorknob had corrected me on that. It was Jodie Foster, not Sally Field.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, earlier you were saying that a lot of atheists make this, or not necessarily a lot, but at least a sizable chunk, make the argument that religion is the same as like a mental health disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what you described there is where that notion comes from. Not that it's correct, but the idea that if I feel something, that's the best evidence for it to be true. Because I mean, if you look at like somebody who is, say, schizophrenic, the best evidence.
Am I schizophrenic?
What?
Am I schizophrenic?
I'm not saying you are, but I'm
then
saying
you
to somebody who is,
somebody
who is, the best evidence that their delusion is real is the fact they experience.
But I'm not using. I'm only using it for evidence for myself, not for them. They can think that personal evidence is something completely different. I'm only, again, these are reasons why I hold to my epistemic justification, not anybody else. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that personal experience is great for everybody, right? I'm saying personal experience is something that for me would make sense because I know that I'm not schizophrenic. I'm pretty sane. But even still, again, so what? You have your belief could be wrong. Again, these are not foolproof methods to come to truth. Now, if you argue, that belief shouldn't be predicated on emotion such that they come to truth, sure, I agree with that. But I got to tell you, I know a lot of people that have very good instinct. Cops have really good instinct. Mothers have very good instinct that do lead to true things. And that's not really something that we can explain fully. And I'm not saying it's supernatural. But I'll tell you what, I'll trust a gut, my intuition and a police intuition any day, right? Because that's personal feeling. But I can't be convinced by an officer that's 40 years experience why he has a gut feeling for something, right? He's not going to say, hey, Steve, let me show you the evidence for my gut feeling, because there isn't any. He's going to say, I have a gut feeling.
Yeah,
but you know
I
what?
mean,
I'm going to rely on that gut feeling.
I think that the difference, though, is usually if somebody is having sort of a gut feeling about a thing, on some level, they're taking in some information. There's something that they've learned, their experience, and they're relating it to a real world thing. Like they're predicting something that's plausible.
Sure.
But somebody having a gut feeling that something that we have no evidence for outside of their gut feeling, that there isn't like a, you can't put it's like you can't point to a god like you can France kind of thing, right?
But again, I have a huge distinction between somebody who just says, look, at all these things that I lead up to me believing there's a god. That's one thing, and that as opposed to somebody saying, well, you know what, all these things I know there's a god. That's a different thing altogether. And so I think you're arguing more against people that are claiming a knowledge claim than a belief claim.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't think we should really be trashing people for having a belief in something.
Oh, I'm not trying to trash people for having a belief. I'm specifically saying when people claim that they have a feeling, so they must have knowledge. Like when they're making that positive claim based on nothing more than a feeling. Like that's different than just saying, oh, I believe a thing because I have a feeling.
Yeah, and by the way, thanks for timing that guy. That level of trolling. It's fun for a while, but then be done with it. And my mods know that, because look, I don't have time to waste with people that stupid. And I'm not saying that anybody here is that exceptionally bright, but there's a certain level of at least conversation, because we've been doing this for many, many years. If you come into the community or you come into a chat and you're literally starting at first grade, I don't bother. It's just why? Because you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to want to learn anything. And you're just parroting shit that we've heard a billion fucking times. If you come at me saying, hey, Steve, you're just rebelling against God because you know God's in your heart, I'm going to tell you to fuck off. Straight up, because it's such a shitty way to approach an argument. But I respect a lot of theists that don't do stuff like that. Like Mr. Brass is a great theist, JMD, General Han Solo. So I have a lot of respect for theists. But these people that come in the live chat that say what they say, they're not respectable theists. They're the ones turning people away from Christianity. Matter of fact, I would put money that a few of them probably were atheists coming here to pretend to be Christians, making Christians look stupid. That's how bad they are.
Yeah, and there's this in some areas sort of this pervasive attitude amongst certain atheists that if you're a theist, if you're a Christian, that you're somehow a bad person or you're the enemy of the other. And that's really not a fair position. I mean, you can take the position that another idea is a bad idea and should be opposed, but when it turns into just attacking people and not being able to have a conversation or say, hey, this person's a cool person that I can sit down and have a conversation with.
But I'm not going to think they're irrational for holding a belief that God doesn't exist. Matter of fact,
I'm not either.
Half of them are,
But I may think that their reasoning on that topic is irrational if they like that. But that's a different thing. Like that's different than me saying that they're a shitty person.
Right. But anyways, JMD, do you want to add to that? I can't read. I can't read the chat right now. The internal chat.
Oh, we're just discussing about my shaving, but
Nigga gonna shave that mo. That mo just ain't on. In my opinion,
or grow a beard.
The mustache.
I can't. I've tried.
However you want to say it, the mustache. It's for guys who are 55 and plus. It's a distinguished look for the older gentleman.
I think he gets that now.
Anything under 55, you just look like a fucking pedo.
We get that. Yeah, enough of the pedo talk. Okay, so a beta.
No, I'm Steve. I know you're sensitive against the pedos, so
I can't. No, I hate. No, that sounds weird. It's just that.
Fuck, that was a really bad.
Yeah, that was bad phrasing.
I know that you detest it being brought up colloquially as some sort of fucking insult.
Everything's it's like everything falls back to you're either pedo or gay or I don't know. It's just I don't like that kind of type of dialogue.
Okay, either way, you're trying to tell people that you're a hipster or I don't know. You got to fucking.
I'm not though. That's the thing. I do not style it this way. Even though I disagree with I think you can modify beliefs, but with like if I accept the premise you can't choose any sort of belief, then I can't choose this at all.
Yeah,
Because every time I see
it's been ordained. All right, so I got some questions in here because I got to wrap this up soon. A bot had asked me if Ronnie came up to you, and by the way, if Ronnie came up to me, I would walk the other way. So just FYI. Again, I don't subscribe to him. I don't want to deal with him. I have nothing to do with him until any of the CCP come up with anything original, stupid. I'm not going to bother. Now, if they do that, then I might actually make a video and have a hangout describing whether what they're saying is fucking retarded. But I'm not going to ever deal with them again on the same bullshit that they've been doing for 4 fucking years because it's the same retarded nonsense. But he's asked if you're if Ronnie came up to you and he said he knows how to do tensor calculus, would you say I don't believe you to be a weak argument? Well, I would say I believe you're fucking an idiot and you don't know tensor calculus. So yeah, it would be very weak to say I just don't believe you. I would go one step further and say I don't believe you because I believe you're an idiot. Anybody who if you believe P is not true, you actually at the same time don't believe P, right? So if you hold a belief that somebody's an idiot, you at the same time you don't believe that they're smart.
I do not believe that you have the ability to provide evidence of your understanding in that claim.
Yeah, I don't think, not even tensor calculus. I don't think he understands basic calculus, right? Because I don't understand tensor calculus, but I understand basic calculus.
They might get through some algebra.
Maybe.
Nigga, you are so far reaching above board, it's crazy. Ronnie don't understand fucking addition.
Yeah, I think basic arithmetic he confuses by. All right, so let's see here. Tom.
No.
Macabre, hang on. I gotta get through this, Macabre.
The circumference of the diameter of pi.
Yeah, he doesn't understand pi.
No. To say those words directly suggests that the cunt doesn't understand what a fucking number is.
Yeah, he doesn't know what pi is. I guarantee it. He literally want to know what the circumference and the diameter of pi was, and we.
It's not that he doesn't know what pi is.
But again,
he doesn't know what a fucking number is.
Macabre. See, this is why I'm saying I don't want to sit there and talk about these things a million times over. Bye bye CCP. So let's ignore them. Not bring up the same old shits. I know, and I'm about to kick you out because I love you.
I love you too, Steve.
So you don't say anything
by the way,
too incriminating when you're drunk, and I do it.
By the way, can I crash on your couch if I come to San Francisco in about? No, you don't live in San Fran.
I don't live in San Francisco, but I would snuggle with you any day, man.
Too easy. I'm thinking of my next Christmas trip, California. Can I crash on your couch?
I live with 5 other people, so the answer would probably be no. I live in.
Fuck you.
I don't have my own home.
Can't. It's like $2,000 to get my ass to America. I'm doing it on the cheap, and you can't fucking help me.
It's not my house. I rent.
God damn you, Steve.
I know.
I'm just being a cunt.
All right, so let me get through these. Tom, you're rebelling against Pilot Wave. You should embrace the Pilot Wave and drop this silly idea concocted by a city called Copenhagen. Tom, as you well know, Pilot Wave theory and Copenhagen both explain things just fine, but Pilot Wave theory adds assumptions that you really don't need. They makes the equations a lot more complicated, but Pilot Wave theory, yes, it works. It resolves the Bell equality as far as having global variables, but it doesn't allow for local variables. But it's still a lot more wieldy, and I don't think you need to use it as opposed to the Copenhagen interpretation. So you know what? I deny your belief, and I hope you rot in hell. Okay, next person. No, I'm kidding. I love Tom. Team Skeptic. Damn, Steve, still going strong. Nice stream. Yeah, this is way later than I expected, and I'm far too sober for this right now.
You have the solution to that right beside you.
This? Dude, I really can't drink that much more than that. I
mix it with water.
What is it, a shot?
Yeah, just mix it with water.
I can mix it with water, but usually if I have a mixed drink, I'll mix it with like soda, and I don't have anything right now.
Yeah, okay, that's worse for the hangover though, because all the sugar.
Yeah, Stargazer Tim, way too much pedo talk this weekend with Oakley. Yeah, I kind of heard about that stuff. Gem Panda and Geostrieber, they kind of reached out to me a little bit. I think No Thing is a piece of shit too. Again, I don't know why we deal with these people. Are you
talking about Oakley or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know why we really go out of our way to deal with these people. It's one thing to hold a rationally stupid belief that we mock, right? If you want to believe that the earth is flat, I think you're an idiot. And you can come in and we can talk, and I can explain why you're an idiot as long as, you want. But
Am I correct to say that he phoned in a false police report?
I
or
don't know
something?
the whole story, and again, it's just there's certain people like Nathan Oakley that when they cross the line, you wash your hands of them. You get done, because if not, what happens is all you're doing is exacerbating, and you're part of the problem at that point. They did that with people in the CCP. They egged them on, and so whatever happens when they snap, they're partly responsible. It's like handing a flamethrower to a kindergarten person, and then wondering why the house is burning down. You got to recognize the fact that these people are not all quite there, and at a certain point, you just got to say, I don't want to interact with you. I don't think we need to, and if you're just using it for views, I get that, but I'm not going to use mentally unwell people for views. And most of the CCP are mentally unwell. And Nathan Oakley is mentally unwell. So, what else we got? If two 50-meter poles are holding a cable which is 80 meters long and it bends in the middle of 10 meters across the ground, how far apart the poles? They're going to be one on top of each other, because if you have an 80... this is the question they asked on Amazon, actually. And I think the question is if it was 40, if it was 80 meters and there were 40 meters, each leg was 40 meter, and it was 8-meter cable, that would mean that the poles are actually on top of each other, because you're just taking the cable and you're just bending it upon itself. So each leg is 40 meters. That's a question they ask on Amazon, by the way. Do I think cow's cute? No, I don't think any really guy's cute. I wouldn't use the word cute with any male. This is me. But I think puppies are cute.
I think that Steve would at least agree that he's fabulous.
He's fabulous. Oh, yeah. Is your sin worth going to hell for? I don't believe in hell, so no. That's a dumb question to me. At least I don't believe in the hell that many Christians posit of this eternal damnation. And the only thing, I had thought about this, though, and maybe JMD can answer this. I don't think it's rational for a God to give an infinite punishment for a finite crime. I'm sure you've heard that before. However, I don't think it makes sense for God to allow for atrocities in the world. Things like the Holocaust, things like the torture that we discussed the other day that happened in Russia, all the different things that the Russian police would do. If God is a benevolent being that allows these things, then maybe that same God would allow for burning forever for eternity. But that wouldn't make him a benevolent being. That would make him a very evil being, in my opinion. Does that make sense to you, DMG?
Oh yeah. I've dealt with this question for I've been doing apologetics for like 2 or 3 years now, and hell is the hardest question for me. I will admit that.
Well, that's why you're a smart guy, though.
I'm not even sure that I agree with even the term sin in that premise. Like, I'm not sure that I even believe that sin exists.
Yeah, I'm not big.
Like,
I think sin is a control mechanism.
I believe that there's right and wrong, and it's developed out of society, and
Yeah, but here's how bad these people are at basic questioning, right, Dave? Here, listen. If hell exists, then it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. Well, no. If something's an ontological fact, my beliefs don't matter to it. But if hell doesn't exist, and my believing it does exist won't change anything either, right? So I have no knowledge to draw upon to make a determination whether hell exists or not. But my belief in it, it doesn't change whether ontologically exists or not. So what? But I still believe it don't exist.
Like, to me, if I were to...
At least not his version.
For the degree of evidence that there is, if I were to just start believing in hell, I'd have to start believing in, like, absolutely everything else at the same time.
Yeah, but I don't mind people like that being in the live chat every so often, because I use them as examples of how not to proselytize, how not to be a Christian, because they do more to promote atheism than any atheist I know. Because who the hell wants to argue on that basal level? Who wants to say, hey, I have no good argumentation for my belief, so the only argumentation I'm going to have is argumentum ad baculum, which is called the argument from the cudgel, that I'm going to say either believe me or suffer the consequences. Right? It's an appeal to consequentialism. That's not how you promote an argument if you have a sound argument. You don't say believe me or suffer the consequences. You say believe me because I'm promoting the truth, and let me show you why I'm promoting the truth. Right? So
it's sort of like the mob boss analogy that Dillahunty uses from time to time.
yeah, well, it's a good analogy. I mean, they do get very threatening, right? But
Yeah.
but this is why I just tell them to piss off. I mean, when a creationist tells me, Steve, believe the Earth is 7,000 years old or you're going to hell, I'm like, okay, well, pack my bags, right? Because I think they're full of bullshit. Actually, I know they're full of bullshit. And I can say it's knowledge, right? I can say I know creationism is wrong. That is an epistemic claim that I can make that I can justify. Would you agree? Dave?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like I can say I know that the Earth is round. I can make that claim.
Yeah.
But when a young Earth creationist says I know the Earth is 7,000 years old, sure they might think that they're justified for that, right? And I'm not saying that they haven't met their justificatory burden of any kind, but their knowledge is incorrect. It's not false knowledge because, like I said, knowledge has to be true, but their belief about having knowledge is wrong.
Well, it has to be.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, because it's demonstrably the case. It's like saying, well, you think you know 1 + 1 = 3. Well, I know it's 1 + 1 = 2. Let's compare here, and I can show you mathematically 1 + 1 = 2, right? Actually, it takes like 300 pages of math to do that, but whatever. Oh, Keon, your cat's okay. Good. She can't have any more kittens, but yeah, you know what? It's okay if cats can't have any more kittens because I got to tell you, we're overpopulated with cats and dogs. Spade and neuter your kittens, or cats and dogs, and but yeah, it's better that a cat lives than perishes because I love kittens. All right, last questions before I end this Rum and Coke night. Even though we didn't get very much on the flat Earth and well, I really didn't have anything to drink, so I'm just really tired and my ass is hurting because of this chair.
Just add water.
No, I'm gonna finish watching a TV show and I'm going to bed tonight. So, any last questions from the Eternal stuff or anything you guys want to say? I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. Unusual. This was a low turnout, and I know that. I haven't had a Rum and Coke night for a while. Plus, I'm trying to do new things with Zoom. But we're going to be running more regular type hangouts, even with Google Hangout, and especially more topical stuff. So I appreciate the people that watch my channel. All my Patreons are still Patreon to me. Every one of you I recognize, and I do appreciate it. And I do appreciate the ones that are now also supporting the Non Sequitur show. And look, if somebody stopped Patreoning to me to Patreon the Non Sequitur, I get that. I understand. Look, I don't mind splitting stuff with Kyle. We both put a lot of effort in the Non Sequitur show. We're going to start going back to the podcast as well. We're going to be trying to uploading like one a day. But it's all the older content because a lot of people didn't even know we had a channel on YouTube. We have almost 75,000 downloads on podcast. So we have a huge following on podcast that they were all going, when season 2 started, why is there only one video or one podcast out? So if people want to watch or listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and what's the other one? Whatever the RSCC feeds are. But anyways, we're on all of them. Yeah, that's how we had like 75,000 downloads already. So this was my first Rum and Coke night. Oh, okay. Well, we appreciate that. This was not their typical Rum and Coke night. Usually Rum and Coke night, we get drunk and go fuck with flat earthers and have them try to come in here and explain to us why the earth is flat, and then we mock them. So one troll night that we get.
Well, thanks for having me on, Steve.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I am shit-faced.
That's one of the goals of yeah, that's definitely one of the goals of Rum and Coke night, right?
Let's see. If we add this all up together, I think we've reached.
Yeah, you're pretty pissed.
What, a full bottle of spirits? I'm not sure about the weird ass imperial system you use, but this is 700 mil.
This is well, this doesn't show, but this is probably about 500 mil, I believe. No, this is not 500. So, I would say this is like 200 mil, if I had to guess.
So I've knocked out this cunt.
I don't do metric.
And
a couple hundred milligram.
Let me see. Okay, so this motherfucker was half full. I drank that, and then got onto this. So I reckon that's a full bottle of scotch.
Yeah. So I mean, usually we have 2 liters, right? And then we do sell like Pepsi by the liter. So if a Pepsi is a liter, then this is probably a quarter of that at most. So, couple hundred milliliter. All right. So, anyways, I'm going to end this. I got to figure out how to back out of this because I don't know what I'm doing here. So, see if I can end the stream. Bid you guys good night. I look forward to having comments. Like I said, we're going to be doing more hangouts, and I'm going to be trying doing them in the evening time, like this time, but not this late because I got to get off by 11. So, good night.
Okay.